Good evening, everyone. What's going on? Let me just check something here. Whoops, hate it when that happens. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Let me see. So we got audio here. Oh, yeah. All right. Audio seems to be okay. What's going on, guys? What's happening? Noodles is in there. What's going on, Noodles? Good to see you in there. Agama Gama's in there. Clerks 93. Yo, what's up? Photography Light and Magic. Hi, Chris. How are you? I'm doing good, man. I hope you're doing good as well. Good to see you in there. Will, what's happening? Digger's in there. How am I doing there? I'm doing good, man. I hope you're doing good as well. John Beck's in there. Lancaster. Oh, yeah. We're all up in here today. Elohim Dalith. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hold on. There you go. Hi from Earth, Rex says. Well, right back at you. What's going on? Let's see. Josh D's in there. What's going on? Tony LaHaya. Hello, Chris. Hello, everyone. Kevin's in there. 8-bit forever. Good afternoon. What's happening? You must be in Cali then. As we're here in the early evening, 5 p.m. What's going on, Eric? Eric Wid, what's happening? DK. Hello, Chris. North of Toronto, Canada. Crazy last video with the plane. I agree. Pretty wild stuff. Skywalker. Boo. It's good to see you today, Kevin says. 786 Auto. Hello, Chris. What's going on, man? Good to see you in there. Nebula Nusquim. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. Howdy. What's going on? Alan Pope. What's going on, Alan? John Mountford. Hi, Chris. From John in the UK. What's happening? Waving a big hand to everybody across the big old pond. Make sure this is big enough over here. This thing's never that. Got to get this screen bigger. Go live there. Okay, we're good. All right. Make sure we're good here. Poor Garden. Hey, Chris and Chad. What's going on? Eagle One has landed. What's going on, Eagle One? Good to see you in there, man. Crowser 4123. Good evening, Chris. Watched the brilliant vid with the plane earlier. Wow. Yeah, I got a lot of same reaction. I mean, guys, I'll be honest with you. I was the same way when I saw it. Like I said, Neville had done it. It was on his Facebook page. And a lot of times, like I said, a lot of these guys are just doing it on the Facebook, right? Now, although he has his own page, you can look him up on YouTube. He's got his own. But a lot of times he doesn't put a whole lot of it on there as he does like he does on Facebook. So when you see his stuff on Facebook, and like I said, he had the two back-to-back, right, that were really, really phenomenal as far as I was concerned. Now, I've always said this, we can see something that looks like that plane. We can't vet it, though, so we don't know. I mean, some people have said, hey, is it possible that these are like just rocks that just happen to be like one's up over here and the other one's, and just has that crazy look? Absolutely. You can have something that's closer and there's something that is further back and it just gives that illusion. Although it doesn't look that way, but that doesn't mean it can't, right? So my first impression was plain, but there's so much more in that photo. Now, he didn't really do much of it because think about this. Here's a guy who's taking all these photos from different sols, stitching them together. And then, so he's going to see these crazy things probably firsthand, right? Being that he's putting them together. So it would make sense that he sees them. And yeah, I mean, good eye and a couple things he had done. So like I said, he gets like, full credit for that stuff. Frack, what's going on? Good morning, everyone. Good to see you in there. Mags K, hello. You said, hey, Chris, do you think disclosure will come anytime soon? Not through the government. I don't think we're going to see it through NASA. You can kind of forget about that. I think that's everybody's consensus. I don't think everybody's going to disagree with that. I think it's not going to be through NASA. It's going to be through some other, alternative, maybe some disgruntled employee. Somehow something's going to get out, a picture or something like that, meaning the real McCoy, which would be awesome to see. And, we've talked about that before. They're like, hey, what happens if somebody brings it to you? I'm going to show it because, again, I would still have doubts. Let's say we saw a photo that was pristine, absolutely pristine, nothing manipulated. Even my brain would have a problem, just consuming it and digesting that, because I'd be like, was this made purposely? Is it faked? I mean, because it would be so perfect, right? So, yeah, it would kind of blow your mind a little bit. And I don't know. It'd be wild to see. I don't think we're going to see it, though. As far as disclosure, I think we'll see that, like through other channels, like I said, either disgruntled employee, somehow something's going to get out, whatever the case. I think that's what's going to be more the case there. Our Gama said the last video from Mars was crazy, so many anomalies. Well, I think the one prior to that as well, that other pan, there's so many of these. I love the pans because, like I said, you can get a better idea just how big these things are, right? So, you see something, that's why I backed up when we saw what that looked like, that plane. And when we did that, of course, I went way, way out, which you shouldn't have. I should have went just right to the borderline of that photo, because even if that butte or whatever it may be, let's say it's only 100 feet high. Well, it's still a distance away. That object, it's on top of the hill and a distance away. So it might be, about the size of maybe a jet fighter that we would see today, even, maybe the same, give or take a little bit, it's hard to tell. Pete's Vlogs, what's happening? Good to see you in there. Richard Elliston, hello from Southeast Michigan. What's happening? I hope you keep it warm up there. 420 Alien. Hi, everyone. Hey, Chris. I love the new Mars vid. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I thought the same thing, Noodles. I was just going to say that, too. Because of that, the way that thing is designed, you can almost see. Now, there was what I found interesting about that. If you look real carefully, right, it's like halfway on that plane, you could see what looks like the stitch mark. So, because remember, there's a bunch of these photos stitched all together. So, what it looked like was a stitch mark. So, you got to be very careful about what you're seeing there. Because I thought the same thing. It looked like a black kind of oval. Didn't you see that? And it kind of looked like the end of a wing type thing. So, I don't know. But it looked like it had like an intake for an jet engine. It looked like, that's what it looked like. I mean, you got to call a spade. You know what I'm saying? Libby Terrell's in there. What's going on, Libby? Alien Tenno. He's in there too. She. I'm not sure. Hello, everyone. Mars Air Force One. Chris, hello. It's 9 a.m. Sunday morning over here. Now, Frack, picture that being Sunday. You're like, if you got to work, it's like, man, it sucks. You know what I mean? This is the reason why we moved it a little bit. Helps everybody out. Clarkson 93 said, you ever hear about the mystery airships of 1896 and 1897? I've heard a little bit. I'm not sure if you're talking about the same thing. Could you give a little more detail? Yeah. Because sometimes, I've heard some things, different variations of, different stories, and I'm not sure it's the one you're talking about. Photography light magic. I loved your video on the airplane on Mars. I totally agree. I tried downloading and converting the PDS files, and my conclusion was, what the pain in the ass. Yeah, not worth the time. It can be a real pain. If you're getting the JP2s, you can get online. You can get a converter for stuff like that. There's different converters you can get to do that. But yeah, they can be a pain, man. They really can. For different ones, of course, depending on which one you're looking to get. See, that's what I like about Neville's work. He gets all of that stuff. He can put it into, if a certain upload doesn't take like JP2, some kind of format that it doesn't take, then he'll put it into something better, like a TIFF, which you can do that on a converter. But they'll put it into some kind of different format, for the site to be able to upload it. So, and it makes it easier on everybody else. So I can just pass it along and everybody can just go ahead and use it, right? Hello, him. You said the plane on Mars, the back fin area, the back fin looked like a Challenger series design. Well, I mean, a lot of people said that too, and it was interesting that some of you guys had said, it looked like the space shuttle. Huh? Remember I told you about that before? Maybe it's perhaps they've used those to go to the moon. Although it said that they stopped using them, so on and so forth, and it's true they have stopped using them. There was a couple of them in Kakistan. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but they've got these large hangars, and there's like two of these things just sitting there, just rotting away, just total dust, caved in. And there was actually a video that people went in there and looked at these things. It was pretty interesting, where you could see dust, and they still had some equipment in there. Really, really cool for some things when you look back and it's in the 80s and stuff. Had some decent equipment in there considering, back then, which was really not a whole lot, it wasn't really super long ago, but still, pretty cool. Libby, watching you. It's good. Exactly, photography light magic. If a plane on Mars has air intake and wings, would suggest that there's enough atmosphere to support flight. Well, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like everybody's argument was the same thing about when they were dropping the Spirit in the Spirit rover itself, right? Spirit and Opportunity. Well, they had parachutes, and these parachutes would come down, and what they do is they'd release, and of course these things would like had airbags around it, right? So they would fall to the ground, from so much feet, and then it would drop down and bounce, 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 bounce till they came to rest, and then they would just open up, and it would just look like a flower type thing. It would right itself, and then just open up, and then of course the rover would drive off. So how big did this parachute have to be? I mean, it has virtually almost no atmosphere at all, no air pressure, no, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Michael White, I'm going to sleep soon here. Oh, I will be too. I'll tell you, I don't know what kind of day you guys have, but man, I work on Saturdays. I'll tell you what, exhausting as heck. Getting ready for the holiday coming up, Thanksgiving, stuff like that. It always gets like a total madhouse. And when you're working on the floor in these places and then going to the warehouse and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, it'll wear you out. Let's just put it that way. Just crazy. But so I'm like, man, I can't wait to get some sleep myself. So yeah, fun. Nope, it's cool, but thanks anyway. Richard says. Let's see. I just want this thing just jumped on me. There was something somebody had just asked about. And I'm trying to remember if it was okay, yeah. Chris Histroff, you put on there, hi Chris, what do you think about Professor William Romoser's of Ohio's findings? Yeah, that was the one that was about supposedly insects, right? And I guess he's some kind of anthropologist, I think. And he said right out, he said, listen, he believes that he showed pictures of what looked like insects on there. Now, a lot of it was too fuzzy to see, man. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, but one of them in particular, I don't know if you're talking about the same one I would be thinking about, but is like white, but it had like the blue body to this thing. And it absolutely looked like some kind of like it had like it showed the head. It looked like a mosquito because it had its legs out like this here, and it had the head, and then it had the thorax, and it had the body and everything else. I actually thought that was pretty interesting, that one there. The other ones, they were so vague, it was hard to tell anything. But guys, I've seen what looked like insects on Mars. We've seen that where it looked like these. Some people say, well, no, those you don't understand. That's like little dust particles are like microns, only microns big, right? Or small, depending on how you look at it. But the thing is, crazy thing about it, you can see like a blur going from a certain direction. So if it's going to the right, you can see a blur on it to the left side of it, right? And vice versa. Well, people are like, yeah, well, it's probably a dust storm. Okay, there's only one piece of dust, like just one little molecule of dust just flying around, right? I mean, come on. And you'd see multiple these things in front of the camera. Come on. Cosmo, I appreciate your support, man. You said morning, afternoon, evening, all. Happy early gobble gobble day to all who partake. Well, I do appreciate that. And again, I appreciate the support. Um, yeah, I mean, so to me, insects, they do exist on that planet. And, if it's not an insect, it's some kind of other bird type thing. Of course, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to say, oh, by the way, I mean, hell, they can't even tell you there's like microbial life yet. So why would they say anything like that? Right. Um, but I strongly believe, I mean, like I said, when you see just one little granule of dust flying around, that's it. Well, it has to be windy enough to kick that up. Right. So if that's the case, where's the rest of it? Why aren't we seeing much more in front of the camera? And you don't see that. And like I said, some of them have like a real odd shape. Now, people go, well, that's just a blur because it's flying around. No, you can actually see the blur behind it. So what is it, right? Yeah. Um, so that's my take on it anyway. I think he's right. I think it is absolutely correct that there are insects on Mars. And I believe there's other flying things in the air. You know, it's not, really far fetched to believe that at this point there might be something like that. I mean, how much can an insect take of oxygen? If there's very little on the surface, right towards the surface of the of Mars itself. So yeah. Brian Norton says, "What's going on, online space buds?" And of course, you, Christopher, love the possible fighter jet video. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's no way to vet any of these, but it's uncanny as hell to look at this thing and just say, yeah, why does it look so much like that, right? And that's the first thing that popped in my head when I seen it. I said, oh my God, what the hell is that? But like I said, there's so much more in there. Appreciate it there, Frack. I appreciate the support. Thumbs up, guys and gals. Yeah, hit that thumbs up, guys. Slam it. Wham, hammer time. Again, appreciate the support. And like I said, there's no way to see this or like vet it. But like I said, when I saw that, I said, okay, looks like a jet to me. No, and like I said, the people that were on Facebook, the first comments they had was, my God, it looks like a jet. What the hell's up with that? So, and then they had people looking at other parts of that photo, but they didn't see the ghosted out part. Well, at least they paid no mind to it. If they probably did see it, but didn't pay any mind to it. But then they had, when I started seeing these areas that look like they blotched over with the same exact texture, right? And you can see that they're hiding things there, and there's a lot of things in the background. You guys have, pointed out yourselves saying, hey, man, it looks like there's little structures or something out. Because keep in mind, we don't know the distance because we're already zoomed in from the top or from the ground, right? Because it's looking up at that mountain. And because we're up at an angle, we don't know if we would have come down like this here, if we'd see that whole thing. We don't know. And then again, that's off in a distance. So we don't know how big these things are. They could be good size, right? I don't know. Anything to jump on me again. All right. Good one there, Photography Light Magic. Nasher's so full of crap. You can smell a stench here in Scotland. Well, and that's true. I mean, it's like, people go, why do you even believe anything they say? I go, I don't. But I do, I can appreciate them. I can, and I respect the fact that, trying to be spacefaring. Again, they always come up with new technologies. And of course, eventually they get watered down to the public, which helps us in everyday life. And the fact that they want to go out and explore space and stuff like that. Total respect. Love it. Everything about space I love. I just don't like the idea of, misinformation or, not telling the public the truth. Now, I'm sure there's reasons behind it because why would you hold the truth to begin with? Why would you hold it back? It makes no sense at all. Yeah. That's the way I feel about it. I think if they just went, from the very beginning, just told the truth, well, why even hide it? While they were up there on the moon, they should have said, hey, guys, you wouldn't believe this. This is what we found in there. We don't know what to make of it. But just envision yourself watching that moon landing at the time, the very first one, and you're watching it and they show the structure, which they actually did. If you watch some of them videos, it looked like this big block, a rectangular block. And some of those astronauts claim that they look like blocked or rectangular structures, but they actually show it and then they panned off of it. So, when you think about that, you just go, okay, so would you have freaked out? Because keep in mind, we're going back to what, 69, right? If you go back to that time, would the public have freaked out? Then, not now, then. Possibly, good possibility. They probably would say, "What the hell? Oh my God, there's something on there." Because think about it, if they were paying into, let's say there was like several tall structures there, and you see the Apollo astronauts, and you see these huge structures in the background, that would probably freak people out and go, "Oh my God, what the hell is that right next to them?" Who knows? And then they'd have to explain that. And just by that point on, they said, just don't tell anybody. So I don't know, right? Um, yeah. Michael, you said, Chris, have you watched any of the presentations of secret space program conferences? Interesting information at Zero Point Energy, Anti-Grav Tech, ET presence, ET self-activating software. Yeah, there's more than just that out there. I guess there's bits and pieces people are putting on YouTube, and really interesting stuff. I mean, anti-gravitational, I mean, that's been around for quite a while. So it doesn't surprise me that, they look at like the Atlas V rocket, just scoff at it, just like, oh my God, that's so like 1960s or 50s. That's just such crap. But we'll let the public believe that's all we have, man. That's what we can muster up and put together after all this technology. We've been using it for a million years, but that's all we can come up with. Come on. I think people are a little bit more savvy to that now. I think they believe there's a whole lot more to it than that. Cloudy with a chance of UFOs. You said, good evening, Chris and Chad. Hope all's well, everyone. It is well here. Hope it's good for you as well. What's going on there, Renee von Oosterhout? How's it going? Good to see you in there. Custom Tailored One. What's going on? Just seeing you in there. Alien Tenant, you put on there, let's say 20 years from now, life gets revealed on Mars. Can you imagine the shitstorm religion will go through, knowing their stronghold on humanity will be blown away? Well, I mean, I think it's getting that way anyway, isn't it? Right? I mean, whether you believe, whether you're agnostic, atheist, full blown religion, religious, it doesn't really matter. Whatever stance you take is whatever stance you take. I look at it this way. And by that time, how much information you think they would have let out? So in other words, people will keep getting that drip. Unless, of course, like I said, somebody jumps the gun, maybe some disgruntled, employee, whatever the case is, that may accelerate it. If not, then, in 20 years, how much of information would have come out? So, and I think it's within this year coming up, they're going to find microbial, they're going to find, I mean, come on, we found everything already, man, methane or methane, water on Mars, water cycle on Mars, warm temperatures. And I'm talking about hot temperatures, man, 80 plus degrees in the shade at times. The list is going on. Now they're finding oxygen. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, where did this come from? Whether it's coming from beneath the ground or not, it's still emitting it. It's still coming out. And so at some point, you just put all of this together, put all that combination. It's you got argon gases, you got different gases, and it's life. It supports life here on Earth. So why not? Carbon dioxide, all of the stuff that needs, life needs to live, to be present. Remote view, you said, Chris, what are your thoughts on finding 2, 3, 4 similar things? I mean, salivation rather, does one thing, as in the wheel or a door. Well, I've seen this in many photos, man. You see like one thing and there's like 3 of them sitting on the side of each other. You go, if it's one thing, you kind of laugh about it. You're just like, whatever, it's like, it's just a pareidolia thing. That's the way they put it. I don't even like the word, to be truthful with you guys, but you just go, I see something similar. Okay. So therefore it's something I see here on Earth. Okay, cool. But when you see 2, 3, 4 of them all in a row, how can nature possibly put that together like that? No way. Come on. Now, when you talk about ridges or like slate kind of thing in a hilltop, yeah, that's common sense, right? That's nature. But when you see like oval things, there's 4 in a row, or they're stacked on top of each other, or they're, whatever it may be, there's multiple things like rectangular objects with like the same feature inside each of these. No, come on. There's no way. Noodles, he said, can you put anything in the screen in the corner for highlighting references or single frame? I can do that. I haven't, but I can. It might help you guys out a little bit, B. Baker said, hi, Chris. Please check out John Leonard Walson, a flipping telescope moon video today. Amazing structures and crafts. Yeah, he definitely comes out with some crazy stuff, man. I've noticed some stuff on there. I'm just like, what? It's cool that these guys are doing that, man. When you see them, I mean, they're putting the work in and they're finding some legit stuff. I'm talking about legit channels finding legit stuff. It's just cool to see, man. Um, you know, like I said, who knows? Maybe I'll upgrade my telescope. But I do so much of this behind the air. Plus, I'm working. It's hard to do that. It's almost it takes all my time to begin with, which is fine with me. But like I said, to put extra something in there, it's kind of gets a little more difficult. Rolando Alves, what's going on? He said, hello, Chris. What's that, Frack? You said 99 people watching, only 39 likes. What? Come on, guys. Hit that thumbs up, man. Slam. Hit it hard. Just don't break it. Let me see. Yeah, you guys were mentioning, I just saying it, where's it at? Yeah, you guys are talking about the third phase of Moon, I guess it is. I watched that video. The first one, I guess everybody's commenting saying it was crap. The first one is supposed to be like this top secret, whatever. I've looked at the second one that they put out. A lot more believable. However, when you look at that, you can't help but to go, okay. Now, guys, I was actually thinking about doing a video on that, doing the inconsistencies about that particular video. Supposedly, it's about a USB stick that was found, and it says, and I can read it right here. I put it aside. It was on Reddit. Let me go ahead and make the screen a little bit bigger because this is a little bit smaller. Let me see. Oh, let me do it this way. All right. Why do I keep jumping like that? Let's keep it over here. He puts on there, hello, Reddit community. I made this account just to share this event and decided to share this on a mystery thread, as I don't know where else to post. Okay. My name is Quisto, and I live in a small village near Berlin. It's Brno. To make quite long story short, I found a USB stick on a parking lot near the so-called Steintor a few hours ago. I didn't think much of it when I saw it, and I put it into my pocket. Okay. There was nothing more at the parking lot, just silver Toshiba USB stick. It has a strange symbol carved into it. They put in like little parentheses type thing. Later, the way they wrote this, later today, I put it in my laptop. First, I had trouble opening it because the laptop said it was corrupted and not computer savvy. And I'm not computer savvy. Anyways, I found lots of files. I have no idea what they mean. But here's the interesting part he puts. Among the unnamed files, there was quite many images and videos of what seems like planet space related stuff. They all seem old from the 1900s. I don't know how they gathered that, but that's what they call it, 1900s. The videos kind of shocked me as soon as some of them show what seems to be like alien UFOs. I watch lots of sci-fi movies to know what they look like. Well, I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of sci-fi movies. I've never seen anything that looked like those. I don't know the story behind the USB stick and who processed it, but I decided to share this with you. Some images seem to show surface close-ups of planets, and some seem to be edited, blacked out. The videos are too freaky to describe. A friend said that the stick contained old Voyager satellite recordings and files that are not supposed to be to the public, as he has never seen something like that. He's a space dude. That's what he puts. I'll look more into the files now and keep you up to date. Once I figure out how to upload, I will show to you the images. That's where it was put. All right. This is where I find it interesting. Now, call me silly, but if this is top secret on a USB stick, I think that would be heavily encrypted. Okay. You weren't just going to go and just pop it into your, laptop and that's it. Now, the way this thing shows, it's like you can hear like what looks like the old, projectors. They're just kind of clicking away, and and you see like now that was the first one. It was really bad like that, but then it showed the second one looked pretty interesting. Where it actually, I'll be honest with you, if it's a fake, it's a really good fake. So as far as fakeness, I give it probably, I'm 70-30 on it. 30 being real, maybe. The rest of it not so much, because if you guys have watched that video. First, it shows like they're looking outside this window and they're looking at this spacecraft, and it appears to be orbiting or going across the moon, right? Not long after that, you see the same exact craft, looking out the window. Somebody's looking out with the camera in that same craft, and you see that same craft over Mars, over the Valles Marineris area. And I'm going, oh, okay, come on. So now I'll tell you what I did. I went out and got a nice high definition photo of Valles Marineris, and I decided to see if it was consistent. It is. All the detail is consistent. However, that doesn't mean you can't take a large photo, black and white it, and then move it slowly above the screen. And of course, you got the foreground. You're in the foreground. You got the CGI craft, and then you got this slowly moving panning. So, but I found something else interesting in there that, nobody else mentioned in that video, was that on the window, it's real quick. It literally jumps from, you can see like it goes like this and out back out the window. Well, on the frame of that, you guys can go back and watch this. On the window itself, look on the side. It looks like some kind of box or panel, and it has like writing, and it's not English. It's not any kind of language I've ever seen. People didn't mention that, though. So now it go, okay, is it real or is it not? Like I said, the first one they put out there was, to me, was total crap. You can just see that was low budget. The second one, I still believe it's fake, but man, it's a good fake. Let's just put it that way. It really is a good fake. And like I said, there was some inconsistencies I found. Now, while it was going over, a couple of these crafts were going over the Valles Marineris area, I literally followed along. I just moved the other high-res photo. I was moving it along, but I had to flip it. I had to go 180 degrees to flip it. And this way I can follow along. And every detail was pretty darn close. It was kind of a low-res video, so it was tough to do because they zoomed in. It was hard to find. But every one of them had like different parts of it was perfect. So again, it could be a very good hoax, and they just made it look like, oh, it's real old, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. Really interesting, but like I said, I'm 70-30 about it. I'm not sure what to make of it. And again, it may be one of those real things that people go, well, it looks so damn real that clearly it's fake. So man, it's possible. Like I said, if they ever posted something like somebody said, hey, I'm going to give you this video. This photo. And what I want you to do is, it's the real deal. I don't want you to write back to me. This is anonymous, whatever. And let's say it was the real deal. I'm talking about unmolested, on anything. It's just completely authentic. Even I would have a problem thinking it's the real deal, because I go, it looks too realistic. I would think it looks fake. Somebody gave me some fake trash. Think about it. So yeah, it can put you on the fence, right? Photography, Light and Magic, you put on the amount of money they have spent on hiding the truth must be extensive. The security involved must be extensive too. Yeah. Well, when you think about, like I said, at one point they laid off 250 people from their CGI department. Well, wait a minute. Again, why have a CGI department at all? You're using raw footage. They tell you it's raw footage. It's raw photos. Okay. If it's raw photos, what are we hiding? Now, back in the day, they were doing the same thing to the moon, but they said, well, the reason why we use CGI department is because it's to make it better aesthetically look good to the people. Okay. Still, again, send a raw photo, meaning use an RGB camera, nothing fancy. Take a real photo, send it home, meaning either from the moon or from Mars. Let us have a look at it. But they're taking it next to infrared, X-rays, all kinds of different colors, filtering it out. They're manipulating. Come on. Even if you don't, some of these people don't believe anything that's in the photo. That last plane, when people are like, yeah, the rocks, whatever. Like I said, you could literally take a real truck, and if you've really seen it in the photo, they go, oh, you put that in there. So either way, there's no way of, and it's not that you're trying to convince the people, right? You're just saying, no, this is what I found in the photo. This is it. They still wouldn't care. No matter what you say, it's a rock. That's all there is to it. It's like, okay, I think you got rocks in your head, but that's beside the point. Because at some point you got to question it, even if you can't be sure what it is, right? because I don't think anybody can be sure what we're really seeing. We can just take a best guess that we have and say it looks like this. Now, is it? I've always said there's no way to tell because we can't pick it up. We can't go next to it. We can't touch it. So there's no way of knowing. Yeah, Brian, exactly. Um, by the way, how many rocks that look like a plane tail have an actual logo on it? Kind of looks like an infinity sign. More importantly, why wouldn't they airbrush it out? And that's what I said. I even said that in the video. I said, why would they go through the trouble of taking out a lot of these details, but then leave that? The only thing I could think of is like that tail itself. I want you to picture a flat rock sticking out of the ground. It just happens to be going up. There's other pieces and other things laying there, and it made it look like a plane. I don't believe that's the case, but it's also you got to go both ways. You got to accept both ideas, right? If you're open minded and you're realistically thinking, you have to say that's a possibility. I mean, it is what it is. It looks like a plane to me, plain and simple. But is it possible that these things are just so perfectly laid there that it looks like a plane? Absolutely. You know, again, I don't think that's the case, but it doesn't mean it isn't. Yes, Renee, good to see you in there as well. RB, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I just jumped here. Here we go. B. Baker said the third phase recent videos are terrible. They used to come on a channel I moderate, and they reformed for a while. And we were friends of theirs with these videos. They are totally going back. Well, I mean, again, like I said, I saw the latest one. Like I said, it looked like they were running this old projector kind of thing. You can hear. Now, why would anybody record that? I mean, it just seems weird to do that. And it just looks so crappy. You could just say it was just, that one's total trash. The second one, again, 70-30 for me. 30 meaning it's a possibility. There's some truth to it. Because here's the thing. If these things, because we already said maybe they already been to Mars, right? We said that. And there's a very good possibility that they've already been there. So it's possible it could be real footage from that particular point, and I'm not so sure. And if you remember correctly, people were asking, can you show me, do you have a photo of that actual insignia or whatever it was on that USB? He never did answer that question. At least I don't know. To the best of my knowledge, I didn't see him answer it. Anybody else see him answer that question? Because they were saying, well, can you show us the design on the USB? I don't think he's ever showed it, or they showed it, whatever. So I'd be curious as well. Jason McVeigh says, hello, Chris, I'm here. Well, good to see you in there, Jason. Brad, you said very interesting on YT or YouTube, the history of Mars channeling. Castamonia, greetings from Norway. Love your channel. All the best, Eric. Well, Eric, so appreciate that. And good to have you here. Carl Reed, you're absolutely right. You said we only know what they tell us. So many pics of Mars with blue atmosphere, right? Absolutely. And like I said, when they had the Mars Insight lander land there, and it was right there in the control room of NASA. This is what's really bizarre, and people are just like, "Oh no, you don't understand. Mars is a completely red planet." It's not. It really isn't. And like I said, they had their monitor up, and people are looking at it. These are people, in the actual control center, and then the first picture pops up. And they literally can hear them talking, saying, wow, look, the sky's blue. The sky's blue. Within 10 seconds, I don't even think it was that long, all red. It's like it's got the same exact filter that the Curiosity rover has on the Molly cam. It has a little flap door, it closes on top of it, and it's a red filter. It's literally a red filter over that camera lens, and they just open and close it when they want to. And I think they did the same thing on that the Insight lander. Absolutely. They literally can hear them talk, wow, the sky's blue. Huh, imagine that. They must have went, oh, hell, go ahead and close that camera. Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Alien Tenno. Yeah. And the thing is, Chris, if there's nothing on Mars, why would NASA fudge smear things out of the photos? You don't need to hide things. Exactly right. And I've said that 100 times. What is the point of blocking anything out of that photo? There's no reason whatsoever on Earth or on Mars to do that. Why would you? Let me just wet my whistle. And that's what I always said. It just doesn't make any sense. Show a raw photo like you claim it is. Show it. I mean, if you just put a standard camera, now you can use other, wavelengths if you want to, whether it's, you know, um, whether it be X-ray, infrared, use whatever you want, but then show our RGB standard photo, take the photo, let us see it. And you don't see that. You don't see it. And if it is, and I guarantee it is, but it's so manipulated and obfuscated after the fact, you get this low-res piece of garbage, which probably started off absolutely pristine, and it's completely whittled down to crap, right? And I don't think that's cool to do that, but they do. Howdy, folks. Carl Johan says, "What's happening, Carl? Good to see you in there." Elohim, you said on there exactly. Just one before and after photos example NASA provide would put NASA all credibility into the blender. No different from NASA's mix it all up of photos. Exactly. I mean, it's complete crap. You know, they know darn well. And like I said, I mean, they literally it was on the air from the actual control pan. And like I said, when I heard the person say, "Oh wow, the sky's blue," think about that. That is insanely awesome because how long again, I'm going back to like NASA has two parts to it. One is the PR for the public. The other one is a higher up. The other one is like a black ops. Because even the people working there go, "Oh my God, the sky is blue." I mean, what? And this is supposed to be the very first photo coming down. And if you notice, that very first photo had a bunch of blotches all over it, like it was dust all over the camera lens. But yet, the following photos after that, completely clear. You didn't see any of that. So was that a filter they put on it? To automatically, so the first photo that popped out, it would blur anything that was in that photo and probably block out a lot of things you shouldn't see. And it just happened to be a whole bunch of that. But yet, after that, photos were fine. Imagine that. So how do we go from complete dust all over the lens to it's completely clear now, and we have great photos of it? Again, manipulated. I jumped all over those, the first photos they had. Complete crap. Snake Gold, hi from Norway. Why don't they build a base on the moon? Then they get to try everything before they go to Mars, and they can build spaceships there and save a lot of fuel when traveling. And I think that's the case, and I already think they already are on the moon. Again, I don't believe they stopped. After the moon missions, the Apollo missions, I don't think they stopped. I mean, they knew they could do it. They achieved it. Now, the first thing you would say is if you were these space agencies is, okay, we've achieved it already, guys. Let's improve on it. Improve the spacesuits, improve the craft, improve this. The volume of equipment we can take to so we can stay longer on the moon, so on and so forth. I mean, we literally went from Earth to outside of or inside, well, it's basically inside the Earth's atmosphere to build the ISS. So why can't we still do the same thing the Apollo mission astronauts did? Fly back to the moon in a different craft and start building these things. They're in suits. They got their own atmosphere in the suits. Just build it. You could take something, let's say your car that, weighs a ton or a couple tons, depending on what you're driving. I've got a couple cars that only weigh 2,600 pounds. So, what would that thing weigh on the moon? You know what I mean? If you do the math, wouldn't weigh quarter that. So if you could literally build the stuff, yourself. It could weigh like, 300 pounds here on Earth and be nothing on the moon. So you could literally build something, like a small base. It doesn't even have to be anything gigantic, right? I mean, you can literally. I think they already have, and I think that's been the plan all along. Slayer Chalk, you said hello from Italy, mate. What's going on? Good to see you in there, Slayer. Cloudy with a chance of UFO says the red is a filter NASA used to hide things. Simple. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, if you take everything, again, if you just, you walk it through the park, let's just say, right? And you can see the green leaves on the tree. You can see the brown dirt. You can see, maybe old houses, like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes in these parks, they just have these little buildings, so on and so forth. Now take a red filter, drop it on top. Nothing has its own individual color anymore. Now we can go ahead and blur out certain parts of that. digitize it out, do whatever we want to the photo. Now it blends everything in perfectly. And now why don't we just downgrade that from a really good, res photo, high res, to a very low res. So now it looks even more crappy the second you try to zoom into it. It's as simple as that. So this is what we're getting. We're getting handed down trash, you know? Yeah, Noodles, I have. Chris, did you hear that China is supplying infrastructure and inviting all countries to their special lunar economic zone? I heard about that. Did you see what was it them that were building it? Their rover going to Mars. Did you see the actual, they have the crane thing. They're doing the same thing that I was going to say Mars did, that NASA did. They had it in a giant building, but these guys have this huge frame and they're literally dropping it like we did ours. And they use it like a crane type thing and drop in their little rover as well. That was neat. But again, why are all these countries going to this planet? There's nothing to see. It's rock. It's trash. Why bother? There's nothing to see, guys. Why spend millions and billions of dollars to go? Makes no sense whatsoever. Alien Tenor, I've seen that too. 1976 Voyager Blue Sky. Carl Sagan spouted some BS about the camera lens. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, he knows. He was in the know too. He's, don't get me wrong. He's one of my heroes. I love everything in everything about. He talks about the cosmos and everything else. I love the idea, but these guys are all in the know. Come on, because these guys are like going over these photos when they came in, right? The Voyager photos and everything else. Even if they were low res, you can see something low res that, something's natural and some things are not. I was going to use the term. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, but yeah. Blue sunset. Yes, absolutely. I know that picture well. Everybody's saying that over there in your picture there. The sky is blue. My profile pic proves it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have actually several photos of that, and it's blue. What's funny about it is you see there was one on there. I know you've seen it because you even got the blue sunset, but it showed like red in the air, but you can still see blue behind it. My argument was this: how, when you really study that photo, they go, well, there's so much this red dust in the air, this kind of iron oxide and stuff like that. How do we know that's not just low level on the ground, just blowing around in front of the camera itself? That doesn't mean the rest of the sky above all that is not blue. But because the camera's so low to the ground, or it's something they're putting in the photo, right? Which I believe it could be both. So, come on. It's absolutely blue. Yeah, remote view. Yeah, it's a rock. Everything is a rock. Absolutely. Just funny looking rocks. Nature up there is crazy. They make some good stuff. Claudio Chenta USA. Yeah, because NASA likes the color red. Yeah. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's people who said, no, man, you don't understand. NASA does not have, I know this firsthand. It's like, well, how do you know that firsthand? Well, I got a telescope, but I can see that it's red. And you're right. I've said this before. You're absolutely correct. I'm like, well, how the hell do you know it's got a, well, how can you argue and say it's got a blue sunset? Because again, you're seeing the planet from a distance. If you see this planet from a distance, what is most of this planet made of? Water. Now, I'm not saying, like when you see like at the Pacific Ocean and all this other stuff, when you see it from a distance, the Atlantic, whatever it may be, you're looking back, it's mostly ocean. You see nothing but ocean, but you do see browns, you do see, and because we might have a thicker atmosphere, that's why you're seeing the blue, but we have oceans and most of it. So now you're going to see it as a blue planet way back from the distance. Now, if you keep going, I'm sure that color would change a little bit. And the same thing with Mars. Now, Mars, it looks red, but that doesn't mean this. When you get close to it, there's not green areas like trees and stuff. There could be bodies of water here and there, but most of it is ground, the iron oxide, and the reddish stuff you're seeing. That doesn't mean the whole planet's littered with it. It could be, like I said, small areas of, well, when I say small, you're going to see it from a distance small, but very large areas of trees, lakes, whatever else. This has been, JP Skipper seen this a long time ago. Richard Hoagland's have seen these photos that look like lakes with trees around it. Now, these go way back, these photos. So I believe there is. And so now people go, so they're right about what they're saying. No, no, it's red in my in telescope. You're absolutely correct. Until you get super close to it. And like I said, when India's spacecraft mom went to Mars, it took a photo, and all I do is put it in Photoshop, and I went auto color in Photoshop. Boom, it looked just like Earth. You had your blue atmosphere, even if it's thin. Still had a blue atmosphere, it had greens, it had browns, it had all that right that like you would see here on Earth. Now, why would Photoshop pull it out? That's how it interpreted it. Why didn't it show up purple? Why didn't it show up yellow colors? Why didn't it show up any other color? Because it did not. It interpreted for what the photo really was, and that was almost the same colors we see here on Earth. Simple as that. Robert, good to see you. And he said, "Hey, Chris, glad to be here with you and the guys. All excited to listening. Exciting to listen to." Well, I appreciate you being here, Robert. Yeah, Carl, I'm the same way. You said, love your hangouts, Chris. I'm trying to brace myself for this speeding up of disclosure here. Things are getting crazy. Compact fusion reactors, Navy declassified. Well, yeah, I mean, but now it turns out maybe some of these crafts are from the Navy, right? And it's a good possibility. If we have, if that all that is true, you got these crash UFOs back in 1947, so on and so forth, and we, back engineered them and everything else, reverse engineered, call it what you like. And we've done all this, and we've got the crazy stuff we got today. Then it wouldn't surprise me if somehow somebody, took this thing out for a test ride and just people happen to be there and bagged their ass. So me personally, I think some of these could be ours, some of them are not. They're just not because things like in California, there were all of those UFOs up in the air, just like, and they went somewhere in Nevada, they're all over the place, and there's like hundreds of people watching this, and they're all lined up. They're just like disappearing. Some of them are showing up in other places, and they weren't some kind of Chinese lantern thing because they would literally, stop right there. They wouldn't go any higher than the others. Like some would change altitude higher than the others than others. They all stayed perfectly in alignment. And so it's a possibility, don't get me wrong, but not the way that showed that. So I believe that a lot of this stuff is now with the stuff we're seeing now may be ours, but stuff back then, no. And so I think we're seeing a combination of both, at least now in this day and age. Brian, you're right about that. The whole filter thing pisses me off. Why do they keep filtering us like we're babies? Because you can't handle the truth, is what they figure, which is absolute crap as far as I'm concerned. Claudia, with a chance of UFOs, you said so many different possibilities as to what they are up to, up there and down here. Absolutely. I mean, again, I just think, why stop? It's always, we're always doing it, always pushing the envelope. That's the way humans are. They're just naturally curious. Remember back in the 80s, I think it was back in the 80s, they had the blue flame. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. On the salt plains, the thing broke 650 miles per hour land speed record at the time. Now, why would they stop? It's a competition thing, or it's I want to better this. So why would they stop on the Apollo missions? It makes no sense. Now, they might have said that to the public. That doesn't mean they completely stopped. And why would you? I don't believe that they should. But they're not going to tell the people what they're seeing and what they're doing. Why do that? Rocky Twain, you said on there, NASA is a government division. This is why they are hiding everything. When private businesses get to Mars, they will be more transparent. I hope so. I'm not holding my breath for it. Excuse me. I'm not holding my breath for it because I think they're going to have this, no matter who goes there, is going to have this gag order because they're going to be somehow working with NASA and as this group that is going to say, yeah, let's just, keep that, you got these, was it, Virgin Space, all of these companies trying to do this. They want to go to the moon. They want to go outside of space, give people rides, so to speak. Because you'll be paying like $100,000 just to go out in space for like 7 minutes or whatever it may be. And then you're going to come back to Earth and land. I think if they go to the moon, they probably won't have any windows that you can look out of. So then, or they will be like closed until you get into the area that they know there's nothing there for you to see. And then they'll just open the windows, and I don't mean literally open them because that'd be bad. But I mean like shields or something like that to bring them up. And they'll say, well, it's because of the radiation. We need to have them closed. But then they'll have outside shields that open up, and you'll be able to look out, and it'll be over something you won't even see. It won't be worth a damn to see. you're like, oh, I guess there's nothing here. I guess they were, I guess there's really nothing there to see. And I think there's a lot more to it than that, to be truthful with you. Frank, appreciate the support, man. Frank Centurion, thumbs up, guys and gals, hit it up. Let's do this. Yeah, you're right about that, Cosmo. Control is a powerful drug to the elite. Listen, I've said this before. What the government wants is just you to just be obedient. I want you to go to work, do your job. They want you, just do your thing, come back, come home, eat your little dinner, watch your little sitcoms, go to sleep, repeat the next day. They don't want people critically thinking. They don't want that. That's the worst thing. And then when you do critically think, oh, these guys are off the wall, da 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 da. These people are just out to lunch, pareidolia stuff. Yeah, come on. I don't think so. Craig McCauley, I appreciate the support, man. Thank you. He said, how does the USA keep other countries from coming out with saying aliens are real? That's a great question. We've talked about this before, and I think, like I said, we have our regular space programs, right? I don't care if you're in the UK and you're watching ESA, you've got NASA here, you got different, India space program, China's, stuff like that. They all have this PR, just like this, their regular space agency for the people, right? And then they have like the elite. And I think they're all together, like the United Nations, only it's United, space program. And they have these higher elites in that particular space program. And they all get together. They get together and they combine their forces and they do what they got to do. And so this is what we're not seeing. This is the reason why none of them will open their mouth to it. Because if you think about it, it's the people who are the elite that are sending this stuff up. Okay, we're going to go to Mars. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do tests there. We're going to do whatever we want. But we won't tell the people what we're doing. So there'll be two sides to it. Well, this is what we're really finding. This is what we're going to tell the public. So, like I said, if NASA's looking for just strictly life forms, then why are we looking way up in tops of mountains and everything else? Wait a minute, you're supposed to be looking in the dirt. This is where in Gale Crater, there's supposed to be, it was supposed to be this ocean or body of water there. This is the reason why they think there's the best chance to find fossilized life forms or whatever it may be. So if we're there, okay, why are we looking up at mountains and looking at all these different rocks? I get the idea of the rock because they want to see if it's been underwater, right? So I kind of get that part. But, why are you looking way up on mountains? You're supposed to be looking for like these microbial life or what was microbial life. So why does that make, it makes no damn sense to me. But that's what I'm saying. I think there's an elite part, or there's a sector of these space agencies that are above all the public. And they're together. This is the reason why you don't see them. One of them's going, oh, I'm ratting him out or whatever. And that's the reason why you don't see that. Your Highness, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Freemasons. That's what it comes out to. It's like, listen, you people are on a need-to-know basis. And, of course, they're talking to the public. We're just going to spoon-feed you, give you a little something. And then, I think what they're doing is, like I said, they're dropping breadcrumbs here and there. And you see these things that just doesn't make sense on the moon surface, Martian surface. You're seeing things that clearly is not a rock that looks to be intelligently made. So why do that? Like you guys questioned earlier. Why have what looks like a rudder of a plane up there, but yet, you're hiding all the other little bits? It makes no damn sense. And again, like I said, there's always a possibility. You got to keep your mind open. You got to look at both sides. This could clearly be like a rock standing up, and then there's other rocks, and it just kind of gives that weird thing. I don't think that's the case, but you have to accept the fact that could be, right? Because we can't go up and look at it. Because I'd love to be able to just get there and go, oh, look at this, and just handle the thing and look at it. And I'd love to be able to do that. Can't do it though. Farron Furplow, I think that's his. Another story is NASA had the help of 2001 director Stanley Kubrick. And you'll hear that a lot. That is a possibility because, and I've said this before, when you see the NASA, these Apollo guys, these astronauts going there, and like I said, they're all waving, hey, yeah, this is great. We're all going to the moon, guys. Well, this is great. It's a great day. And then when you see these videos, I mean, they're playing golf. They got the moon buggy to the boards, man. They're just kicking up. You got all these rooster tails flying out of the back of the wheels. They're just kicking up dirt everywhere, lunar dust, and just having a great old time. Woo! They're laughing and joking, having a great time. Yet they come back. When they come back, they got this somber look about them, at this press conference like I said before, like their parents died in a car crash. Why is that? It makes no sense. We got two different things going on here. If I was one of them guys and it was legit, meaning I was there, I was on the moon, we're having a great time, we're laughing and joking, I'd be coming back, oh my God, this is the most awesome thing we've ever seen, because they said that they saw the moon, earth, and sun all at the same time. So it was a spectacular view. I don't think that's what they saw. I think they saw something much more awesome, right? So when you see these guys, like I said, when they're taking off, they're waving to the public that's all there. And then they take off. They look like they're having a great time. They're enjoying what they're doing up there. Man, it's rock. Man, look at this. Wow, wow. And then all of a sudden, they come back. Why do they look the way they do? If they were the first men to step foot on the moon, why that? This is the reason why I think that video footage could have been faked. But then when you look at some of them, absolutely real, because you can see that they're hiding stuff in these stills, not the videos, the stills. You can see things that have clearly been hidden and been blocked out. Absolutely. So I think there's, again, two sides to this. We got the PR for the public, we got the bullshit for the public, and then we get the real deal. And when you got to read between the lines of the lies, because there's some truth in there. James Smart, I have, Ken's a good friend of mine. I've looked at the photos he's got and some crazy things, man. He's got I think it's a second gen photos of the moon. And there's some crazy things in there, because what's funny about it is you see the third and fourth generation photos of the moon. They look nothing like it. They're completely whited out. They're washed. And yet there's a lot more details on the ones he has. Wait a minute. They're both from NASA, and they've got the photo identification numbers, the whole 9 yards, just like that, but they're completely washed. Why? Because in this day and age, they know people can pull these photos apart now. They don't want people doing that. So what do? They go over the photos. Guys, go over the photos. I want you to just totally destroy these things, in a sense. But yet he still has the good ones. So when you go up on Flickr, look for his page, Ken Johnston Sr., and you look up on his Flickr page, he's got all kinds of the second gens. He doesn't have the first gen. So his photos are still manipulated, but they're not that bad. Nowhere as bad as they are now. Have a look at them. Yes, Equalizer. Knowledge is power. They know more. They will never divulge everything. They're 100 years ahead of what technology we have today. Absolutely. And they might even be more than that. Yeah, exactly. Your Highness, critical thinking equals conspiracy theory. But Equalizer, like I said, they're so far ahead of us. Just look at the stuff we're seeing now. And they're talking about, I don't know if you guys seen it, like the battery was like super small, and it was like not even a battery as we know it. Just look at back in the day at your computer, right? Did you ever think you'd have an SSD as opposed to your regular hard drive? Now you got a solid state drive. Did you ever think that would be? They'd be using memory chips as a drive. Well, back in the 80s and 90s, you wouldn't have thought, you wouldn't have thunk it. But now when you start to see these things, the way they progressed and how small things have become, hell, I remember that way back in the 80s where they had a watch. It looks like your Apple Watch, but it literally had a wire going to it and went to a regular control box, but you had a small TV on your wrist. That was back in the 80s, color TV. Of course, it was hell trying to watch TV on it, but, baseball game. But yeah, but you get the idea. Look at the technology that was put into it then. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Renee, there you are. A little late getting here, huh? Good to see you in there. Yeah, absolutely, Your Highness. Yeah. Buzz Aldrin and Neil look like they were at a funeral. Yeah, guys, you just have to go search that video out. You can see them. They're like, the press conference asking them, they're like, oh my God. They're like, oh, they're looking down like this. They're just like, oh my God. You could just tell they were so distraught, and they're just in their minds. They were just like so overwhelmed at what they saw. They weren't even interested. I want you to imagine you being there. Okay. Now you go to this silly little press conference when you come back. Yeah, you want to sit through a bunch of questions that absolutely mean squat compared to what you just saw on the moon. These guys didn't want to be there, period. They didn't want nothing to do with it. They were just like, oh my God. You just see them, oh. They had their heads down like this. They were just, they're just sitting there going, can somebody just shoot me? I don't want to even be on this damn press conference. They didn't want nothing to do with it. They didn't. Cruxnut 76, you said, hey, Chris, hey, great to see you again. Love your work. I appreciate that. Good to see you in there. Richard Mortimer, you said, by the way, what's going on? NASA in the 60s was the silent generation. The thought that the public would develop a distrust of what they said probably never crossed their minds. Yeah. And like I said, now you got these photos. They never thought in a million years. I mean, you think, I mean, if basically back then computers were just simple, really, really simple X's and O's, right? It was just bleh. I mean, there's really just basically data going in as opposed to what you're seeing now. Hell, I remember the first, computer I had. I mean, when you loaded it, the picture was like, it was anything. It could be a low res photo, and it took like, you can literally go have dinner and come back, and the thing was still loading. Now it's like it's instant right there, because of speed of internet. Computers have progressed so far. It's just hilarious to see it back in the day. You had dial up. Oh my god! But you get the idea, right? So they never thought people were going to, get Photoshop and rip these things to pieces. And now they're like, go back, get these damn things and do something. Want to wash the hell out of them, get them off the internet, do whatever you got to do. And that's what they're doing. So that's why I go after Ken's stuff as opposed to the stuff that's on there now. Yeah, exactly. Blue Sun said. President said they are setting up a lunar base for jumping off to Mars. Yeah, because it's a lot easier. Think about it. If you can use the reusable rockets that Elon Musk has, okay, once you send it to the moon, and if you're mining for fuel and everything else, how much fuel would it take to get off the moon? With hardly any gravity. There you go. So it's so much easier to jump off from the moon to Mars. There's no fuel expenditure as opposed to from Earth there, because you got to break away from Earth big time, and it takes so much fuel to do so. Of course, the more you pull away from the actual Earth, it gets easier and easier. But how much fuel did you expend trying to do that? So jumping off from the moon to there is so much easier, and it definitely will work a whole lot better. Claudia with a chance of UFOs. You said I watched a lot of Richard Hoagland stuff a few years ago, all about the moon, domes, glass structures, 19.5 stuff. Yep, hyperdimensional torsion fields, and yeah, he's big on stuff like that. But just some of the stuff you see now, some of the pictures I've seen myself, I don't know if some of those things were structures or if it's just because the photo, depending on how it was developed back in the day, right? And some of them were just crap and you get that kind of highlighted area. But some of that stuff I've seen myself, it looks like there's tall towers. You can see these blue lights in the sky, but that's all you see. But once you enhance it, this like the shadow of something underneath that blue light. What's that tell you? So it clearly looks like there's something there. Now, what it is, I don't know. Richard, you said if you read leadership theory books, it's clearly stated that with each new generation of belief in authority and what they say gets weaker and weaker. That's true. It's a great question, MJ 420. You said, hey, Chris, if they say you look at the Earth from light years away through telescope, we see dinosaurs. Why do we use telescopes to look for life years away? Well, that's true. But I guess think about this a minute. If you were to see that and go, okay, my assumption is because they can see now, they can look and say, okay, this planet is clearly in the Goldilocks zone. So we can see there was life there. Now, like you said, this was how many light years ago. So now chances are that life would be gone. But the biggest question for them is how much of that life is still there. And that's why they want to go there. And like a lot of these, like Titan moon in our own solar system, these moons, they want to go there because there's oceans underneath some of this crust, these frozen crust, and they believe there's a sea life. And it could very well be. It could be the simplest sea life, but it's there regardless. And can you imagine getting some of that and bringing it back to Earth, as long as it doesn't go crazy on us? That would be pretty interesting, and I think that will be a long time down the road. I think that'll happen. But of course, I'd have to be really careful. You see some of these movies, some of these things. What was that movie, Life? Remember that little thing that they found on there? And of course, this thing turned out to be like ripping all of the astronauts apart and everything else in their space station and stuff like that, and doing some crazy stuff. Basically, sucked the life out of them. Pretty cool. Kyle Reed, you said looks like a plane. Slight camo pattern and some sort of emblem. Yeah, it does. That video you're talking about, the last one I just did, you can see there's some kind of insignia or some kind of picture or something on there. Whatever that thing is, let's suppose for a moment that it's just an assortment of rocks and we all think it's an airplane. I'm fine with that. But when you start to see an insignia on there, some kind of drawing, okay, right off the bat, forget about the plane. Okay, there's something on there. So again, intelligent life. Nothing. Nature's not going to do that on something like that. So either way you look at it, no matter how you slice it or dice it, the things we're seeing in these photos, there was intelligent life on Mars. And I'll go to the grave thinking that, and I'll know that because just the stuff we've seen. Now, people said, what happens if all of these photos are complete trash and they've duped you all? Well, they still have to answer to the public, which will they? Probably not. But they still have to answer the question, what is going on? Tell the truth. To me, that just makes more sense. Elohim, he said, thank you all. And Chris, see you all in the future comments and endeavors via the channel. Well, you take it off. If you are, I appreciate you stopping by. Cosmo, that's a good one. Note to Elon, don't send a Tesla truck to Mars until revisions are made. Yeah, I don't know. What did they say? It was supposed to be like this Blade Runner theme to it or something like that. Yeah, who the hell is going to buy that? I mean, it's like, what is this supposed to be? 30 or 50, 60,000? I forget what the heck they said the price range is going to be. I don't know if it's 30, 40,000. Man, what? That thing was ugly as sin. The roof was goofy. Now, they could have just left the truck, the rest of it that way, but do something with the roof. My God, that looks horrible. Let me jump way back down here. Colin Johan, you said, Hoagland is a real NASA scientist. Shout out for keeping it real. Well, I mean, he was nothing more than what the heck was he supposed to be? He's only working for he had like this connection from NASA to the space, or I should say the news channels. And he would actually, basically say what's going from NASA, and he would report to these news channels. And but then he became skeptical. He just started getting more and more into it and decided to really rip this apart. And that's what he came up with. He just started doing the same thing, destroying these photos way back in the day. So pretty insane. John White, besides Mars, have you been looking into Antarctica lately? No, I really haven't. I need to, because a lot of people have said, hey, man, you need to check it out. There's a lot more crazier stuff. So, yeah, a few other YouTubers have found some suspicious structures. First one I thought of was you, because you bring out the detail really well. And I haven't, but I should, because a lot of you guys have said, hey, man, well, you need to look into this more. Like Joe from Our Alien TV, he was on Ancient Aliens, and what looked like pyramids in Antarctica, and some other people have found some other crazy thing. It looked like that giant face or whatever it was. Pretty crazy stuff. So there's a lot going on, and I think what they're finding is, Antarctica was not always there, meaning in that position way up there, or so they might have had civilizations on that part of the island. Well, we're going to call it Antarctica, right? Might have been a lot warmer, a lot better climate. And so now, of course, it went ice age, and of course it froze, position of the earth changed, so on and so forth, froze. And now that it's melting off, a lot of it's melting, we're starting to see these structures. And that's what is getting everybody riled up. They're like, oh my God, did you see what's on there? Oh my God, it's crazy. So, yeah. Phil Cox with daughters Jessica and Kelsey Brown are in the house. What's going on, Phil? I didn't see you jump in there. Floyd Herbert, you said, Chris, do you believe in God? I do. I am not religious. I am more spiritual. That's pretty much it. Natural spirit, we have Tesla Tech. Well, I mean, what I like about Elon is that he said this. When he built his first, Tesla sports car, so on and so forth, he absolutely made all the designs free to the public. It wasn't like, oh, it's my patent, you guys can't touch this. No, he literally said everybody's welcome to it. That's what I love about it. So he's been open book right off the bat. He's talked about how he's like he almost went in a toilet with his, between SpaceX, Tesla, just to both of them because he's trying to get them, both started. And of course, he almost failed miserably, and he came damn close to it. But now he's doing a whole lot better. He's got these gigafactories and all this other stuff going on. Yeah, I mean, you gotta spend money to make money. That's what it comes out to. Alien Tanner, you said, hey, Chris, here's a thought. Maybe Orson Welles' famous War of the Worlds prank could maybe had some influence on NASA's thinking. That's a good possibility. I mean, I believe that could be true. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's almost like the ideas that we had even from these space shows, right? Like Space 1999, Star Trek, you name it. All of those shows back in the day, they got these ideas like, communicators, things like that. Basically now, if you think about it, we got these phones we can just communicate into. We had the flip phones, remember? Looks like they communicated from the old Star Trek. So on and so forth. Of course, they would just like dial it in and hello, but it's like if a lot of technology is probably from things that were dreamt up in these shows and now they're making them reality. I absolutely think that could be the case. Oh, you said shutout for keeping it real. Sorry about that, Carl. I just read that again. Said Hoagland is a real NASA scientist. Shutout for keeping it real. Well, like I said, again, he was like this liaison going from NASA to these news channels, and he was pretty much, I mean, I wouldn't say working hand in hand, but he knew a lot of the inner workings of NASA, right? So that's why when he said something's amiss, he just decided to start ripping them apart, and I don't blame him. Your Highness says NASA developed a space plane with propellers to fly on Mars. This means there is some kind of atmosphere. Well, yeah, they made the a drone, and it's got opposing propellers. It's got the dual propellers, and it's a good size, man. This thing's it's pretty big. I mean, it's and the they put it in a test cell and they simulated what I was going to say what Mars has on it, the atmosphere itself, and of course they had these blades spinning at X amount of RPMs in order for it to take flight. So that'll be something to see how it works out. Of course, they might go, well, because this thing's supposed to be on, I'm trying to remember if it's going to be on the underbelly, but it's going to go in, I think it says it'll fly for like 7 minutes and then it'll have to go back down and have to charge, kind of like your wireless charging, you put your phone down and it charges it. So it's going to be similar to that. It's going to recharge that way, unless it has its own charge port, which just sits on it and just charges. But I guarantee they'll say, well, we thought it would fly and somehow it crashed and burned, and that was the end of that. Because think about it. They're not building. They said it's going to help for the rover to navigate. Okay, what's the excuse now? Why did the opportunity? It had no problem driving around by itself. It can drive autonomously, and it did everything it could. How many years did it last? Spirit rover, I still think it's going, but they said it's stuck and that's it. It's a dead stick and that's the end of it. Curiosity rover, they didn't have any kind of drones or anything to help guide it. It's all sophisticated. It does its own thing. In fact, we could just stop the communication from it today and just go, we don't need to worry about it. And the thing will do it, drive on its own and do its own thing, take its own pictures. It's got its own protocol that it needs to do every day. So they don't need it for that. I think what it is they need to get up higher in an area. Think about 7 minutes to fly. That's pretty good time. Take off way up on top of a mountain, see what's up there, or go into places where the rover cannot go. Maybe smaller spaces, much higher spaces this rover can't go. Yeah, that's what they're really bringing that thing there for. Yuri G, good to see you there, man. You said, Chris, so what do you think is responsible for the lives of the space program of the moon and Mars? I mean, the pictures that you show in your video. Well, I think military is the one is, dictating what they can do. I think they're dictating what to leave in and what to take out. And basically anything that could be intelligently made or anything that could be other than nature, go ahead and just take it out. That's basically what it comes down to. Although there's been so many people that have done, these anomaly photos and videos that there's no disputing it. You just if only one thing you guys have ever found in my video or anybody else's video said, "Oh my God, that's absolutely looks intelligently made." That's all you need. What the hell is it doing on Mars? What is it and why is it on Mars? That's all you need. Those are two questions you got to ask. What is it doing there? Simple as that. And what is it? Randy Roberts, you said John White. You said what channel has that Antarctica footage? Like I said, that's Joe. That's Art Alien TV. You go there, and I believe it says pyramids. Just put you can go in his little search box on his page. Just put on there pyramids Antarctica, and it should bring it up. But he was literally on Ancient Aliens. Every now and then it airs that same, and you'll see him in there talking and everything else. He's got a laptop and showing these things. Crazy stuff, man. You just and when you look at more and more of these things, you just can't help but to go. Even here on Earth, we haven't seen it all yet, guys. Ancient civilizations cropping up out of these jungles, deep in the oceans, stuff we didn't even know was there. And we just go, oh my God. So now ancient life is much older than we thought. So we don't even know our own history yet. We're just learning, finding more and more stuff. Well, wait a minute. Now this ancient civilization predates that ancient civilization. It goes on and on and on. So yeah, it's just getting to the point where, we're just learning more and more. That's it. We're just being schooled. And I don't mean by the fake stuff. I mean, the more we learn, the more we're going, wow, now you have to change the way your mindset was. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's down to earth and realistic. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're just learning how to walk. Noodles, you said the plane looked like a Vulcan, a bomber. Yeah, there's a lot of people had said that different bombers and different planes that kind of look a lot like some people said look like the MiG, which I agreed on some of these crafts. It's just crazy stuff you see in these things. It just doesn't make sense, right? You're kind of looking at it going, there's no way that's that. But when you see the little intricate details in these photos and some of the things you see, doesn't matter if you think that one, okay, I don't think that's what they say it is. But wait a minute, what is that? And what about that? When you start looking at it, you go, okay, one piece, it could be just our minds playing games with. When you see several things that look intelligently made, you go, is it still playing games? Is it like mass delusion? Come on. No, it's not going to happen that way. Good evening, Rachel. Good to see you. And yeah, you said, Chris, your latest video was amazing. I agree. The finding from Neville was just awesome. And that's what, prompted me to do it. And I've asked him in the past. I didn't ask him about this one, but I asked him, you don't mind if I do it? And it doesn't matter to him as long as he gets, I've always told him you get full credit. And that's what I did. So anytime I find something from somebody, I give them full credit because it's only proper and right to do that. And then I just found so much more in there. So I decided to enhance it. And my God, the more you see in there, it's just, there's no way all of this stuff is natural. That's just the way I feel. Now, people can have their own opinions, and I'm cool with that. But to me, yeah. Natural spirit, don't believe in all you hear or see. Illuminati's whistleblowers are the greatest advertisers and the news media. Well, yeah, I don't believe in a lot of news. I don't even like to watch TV. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I might watch a couple of little, game shows or whatever just to, get a laugh out of them and stuff like that. But I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I'm either behind the computers here and, or working or whatever. And of course, you go out and you do your thing, go for a jog, go out climbing and stuff like that, just to go out and do a couple things, just to get out of the house, Nothing wrong with that. Richard Mortimer, he said, I think Forum Borealis has a 3-part Antarctica series. Well, could be. I'm not sure of it. I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I have to take your word for it. Phil Cox and daughters Jessica and Kelsey Brown. You said, I am proud. I don't know why this decided to hold it for review, but whatever the case, I am proud and honored to say that Donnie of Daytona gave my channel a mention in one of his most recent vids and subbed. That's awesome, man. Yeah, do me a favor, Phil. Drop your link to your channel. To be truthful, I haven't even seen it. Drop the link to your channel, your page, and I'll drop it here, and people can go check it out. I haven't even checked it out. I've heard you talk about some of the topics that you have on your page, but I've never seen it. If you can, drop a link, and I'll go ahead and share it with everybody else. Amango Gagna. I'm not sure I'm even pronouncing that right. 68. Hi, Chris. I really enjoy to watch your videos. Well, I appreciate that. Good to see you in there. Yeah, guys, slam that. They've got like 132 watching, only 104. Bam, hit that like button, man. Slam it. Remote viewer, have a good night. Good to see you in there. Said it's very late. Good night. Sleep well. Yeah, I hope you have a good one there and have a good day tomorrow. Libby, you said even our own past is being hid from us, our ruins being destroyed, etc. They don't want us to know even about our own past civilization. Exactly. Look at they're doing. There's a lot of Sumerian stuff. I mean, literally, of course, these people, these religious fanatics and stuff like that, are going ape shit and being stupid. And just if it doesn't comply or conform to their religious beliefs, they destroy everything they find, which I think is insane. I think every one of them should be shot because this is ancient stuff, man. This is our ancient people. Now, whether you believe in that, you don't have to. It don't have to be a belief. It's just the idea. It's just their stories and their life. You know what I mean? And that's something you should never have. Destroyed. That's just the way I feel. Bobby Pentland, good to see you there, man. You said, hey, Chris, good to see you. Bobby Race, San Jose, Cali. What's going on, man? Good to see you in there. Cosmo, Mike Barra is here on YouTube, but it's mainly all about politics, news versus moon coverage. I'm not a big fan of Mike. I think he's too cocky. I think he's, I just don't like his attitude. I'm not saying he can't be a real good guy. I'm just saying the way he comes off. I've seen him. I don't know if you've actually seen him, but he literally attacked a few people, man. I'm like, what the? So, when you hear him talk and stuff like that, he seems like cool, legit, very knowledgeable. And then, man, he goes on the attack on some of these people, and it's just crazy. Not really a big fan because, like you said, it's mostly politics, and I'm not a big fan of that stuff like that. I just show us the real deal, show us the truth, and if you got knowledge about it, just go ahead and bring it on, let people see it. Mags K, not being funny, but how many people haven't pushed the like button? Please now, guys, thumbs it up. Yuri G, you put on there, when will your videos be translated into other languages? It's time to make a movie about your work. Well, you can literally go underneath to hit the closed caption or go into the settings underneath your video, and it shows like subtitles, and you can just click on it and show the language you want to just select the language, click on it, and as long as you got the little CC, which is a closed caption, highlighted, yeah, you'll have no problem. You can listen to any language. Of course, it's not the best translator. I noticed that some people said that you can actually get another translator. I don't know if it's like an app or something like you can get it for your phone or your computer, but I've tried to do it because I was on a Russian TV show. It's kind of like what was it? It's kind of like an Ancient Aliens in Russian. The actual gentleman, he lives in Ohio. He came here to the house, and I did a video for the Russian TV show. It's actually pretty cool. You can actually see that. You can go into my channel, and it says, I put on there, I think Martian Anomalies goes to Russia or something like that, or is on Russian TV show. So you can go on there and check that out. It's pretty cool. But when I hit the closed caption, it was a little off. I mean, it was a little crazy, but a lot of it was pretty accurate, and some of it not so much. And so, it'll say Chris has looked at the Mars, and then say pizza pan. You're going, what the hell? I mean, it would say everything cool, and sometimes it just throw off different words, just really weird. Photography, light, and magic. I absolutely agree with you. When you see huge structural beams sticking out of a mountain, that's not pareidolia. And I totally agree. Whoop, hit the mic. And I totally agree with you. You know, flat rock, you can see like a the kind of layered flat rocks. You can see that. I have no problem with that. To me, that's natural. When you see something like something literally sticking out of this, and wait until I can probably do this other video for you guys. It's off the same pan that that I just did. It literally looks like this structural stuff built into this, because I would have made this a real long video, and I was going to make more of this and add on to it. So I might do a second part to this. If you guys are, guys are down with that, we can do that. But there's literally like structure. It looks like a cave, and there's actually structured beams in this thing. I mean, what does that? Something going across, you go, man, that could be a rock. And you're absolutely right. But when you got something that goes like this and then comes down perfectly 90-degree angle, and it looks like a statue on the side of this thing, come on. This is not a pareidolia thing. It's right there in your face. But yet people have a hard time. Some people have a hard time seeing that. They're just like, it's crap. All right, hey, do what just think what you like. That's your decision. But to me, it's just like, when you see stuff like that, that's not pareidolia or some kind of weird bunny in the clouds thing. I get that a lot. Oh, you see what you want to see. It's bunnies in the clouds. I know what you mean by bunnies and dogs in the clouds. I've seen that where you say, oh, look at that little, looks like, some bunny or some kind of weird thing. It looks like Goofy from, Disney or whatever. I can see that. That's nothing like that. When you start to see, not only is it outside shape, but you can see, details in these objects. That's not pareidolia, people. They need to learn the definition of it. That's why they're so stupid with the word. It's crazy. Claudia with a chance of UFOs. Liked when I joined. If I could like twice, I would. I appreciate that. Yeah, is there like a 2 times double button you can put in? Yeah, if you haven't hit the thumbs up, guys, go ahead and do it, please. It's always appreciated. Hi, Chris. I really enjoy to watch your videos. That one there. Let's see if this thing's going to jump up. I knew it would do that. James, there you are. You're in there. You put in, hi, Chris. Just checking in with you, man. Was late, but here now. Hey, better late than ever, man. That's what I always say. And Chris, man, your last videos of the days going by are out of this world. Definitely, man. Great work again from the Hawkeyes themselves. Now, that guy actually has 2 meanings. Some people say you sound like Hawkeye from MASH, and then you get the Hawkeye's kind of eyesight thing. People say, hey, do you know you sound like the guy from, I don't know if it's Hawkeye or what it is, but from MASH? And I say, I get that. That or Howard Stern. I don't see it or hear it, but yeah. Yeah, Equalizer, you're right about that. Translation is hit and miss. I know firsthand. That's a fact. I've done it myself. And what? LMW said, hello, great videos and Moon and Mars, on the Moon and Mars. Do you think people that hide all this information are evil criminals and don't have the best interest of the majority of the population of Earth? No, I don't think that's the case at all. I think what it is again, these elites that, I don't know if it's just, they just feel that it would totally scare the hell out of us. I mean, point blank, that what we'd see. Like I said, I want you to imagine you being one of those Apollo mission astronauts going to the moon. And when you go there, and like I said, these guys were briefed. They had to been. So they're briefed, they go there, and all of a sudden they see these things. Can you imagine the camera, it's supposed to be live, showing the actual lunar, activity going on with the astronauts and everything else. And they pan out to this huge structure. Picture the astronaut being this tall and the structure is absolutely huge, right? Can you imagine people would go, what the hell is that? They'd be watching their TV in 1969 freaking out. I think they would. I think they would absolutely lose their minds. Be like, what the hell is that? Oh my God, did you see that? Now, there's a couple of videos out there that actually show like these rectangular blocks right there on the lunar surface. And then they went like this. They were panning. They cut back real quick. So, and then a couple of these astronauts even said that. They said, look at those blocks or whatever was in that crater. He says, man, it looks like there's lights down there. And it says, I wonder if these people ever get out. Now, why would an astronaut say that? There's nothing on the moon, right? It's just a cold rock, nothing there to see. Well, not in the shade anyways. It's cold, but it's in the sun. It's quite hot. But, the whole thing is, it's like, Why would these astronauts even mention something like that unless there was something down there that, sparked them to say something like that? It makes no sense. But I don't think the evil people. I think it's just they're just thinking you're on a need to know basis. Anything that's out there has nothing to do with your life here on Earth. That's the way they look at it. And to me, I think that's totally off base. I think that they should tell the people. So again, what's the worst could happen to you? Okay, you're a little in fear of it. Okay, me personally, I already know this already as a fact. We are part of something much more bigger than we can imagine. But even right now, I know we're part of something much larger than us, but I don't think we can imagine just how large. But I don't care. I know we're part of something much bigger. And I think they should do that. So people, I think people would actually, because you guys would agree. Tell me, agree or not. Everybody wants to feel like they're part of something, whether it's a group of people or a group in itself in general. And I think a lot of people would take that and embrace the idea that we're part of something much larger out there. I don't think they'd be in fear. They'd be like, wow, we just feel so good about ourselves now. We're part of something much larger. We're not just these lonely little beings on this little spinning ball, this little blue ball. I don't think that would be the case at all. What do you guys think? Doc Chuck, Little Chuck, what's going on? Hello, y'all, you said. What's going on, man? It's good to see you in there. Equalize, he said, people will not believe because there are susceptible ones, the sort of people that can easily be manipulated. Well, that's true. Let's see. Maniac 76, you said, even Chris, and from Manchester, UK. Keep up the good work. I try to be skeptical on things, but the structures throughout the solar system that you show really do get me thinking. And that's what it is. Listen, I want everybody to be skeptical. Just be skeptical. You should be, but have an open mind. I know they're not equally exclusive. You know what I mean? In other words, they don't seem to go together. But to me, it's like I'm always skeptical because I don't believe sometimes when I enhance these moon things, I don't know what I'm going to find because it's so washed out. So then when you do break it down and you get down the brightness and bring out the details, some of the things I'm going, I can't believe I'm seeing this. There's no way this is there. So you got to be skeptical. You know what I mean? And that's what keeps you on your toes. But you can also keep a open mind to it. And I'm not saying open mind do you believe everything because I wouldn't. But I would, you want to be skeptical, but this is the reason why I give you the photos, guys. So you can take it, look at it yourself. And if it's something you can't enhance, a lot of times I'll try to put it on my Flickr page so you guys can have the enhanced photos and check it out yourself. So this is the reason why I do that. And some of the stuff you don't really have to do that. So I don't put it up on the Flickr page. You know what I mean? So, but this is the reason why I encourage everybody to do their own research. You don't have to believe anything I say, and I don't expect anybody. I like a skeptical thinking people. I love thinking people. That's what it's all about. Eagle One, you're right. It's all swamp gas, pretty much. That's it. It's all that's been chalked up to me, guys. There's nothing here to see. Move on. I might just do that, Natural Spirit. You said, Chris, please open your YouTube community forum. I might actually do that. Richard Mortimer, he said, no way that ship laying on its side was a cloud bunny. And guys, I did that, like the participation, just a viewer participation. And I absolutely believe that's what it looked like. It looked like a ship laying on its side because you guys are like, oh, so what did you think, man? What did you think it was? And I don't want to say anything on it or during the, in the comment section or anything like that. But yeah, it absolutely looked like a ship or some kind of structures or structure with different details in it. One of the two is going on in that photo, but it looked like a ship or something like that tilted on its side. And even Joe from Our Alien TV, a good friend of mine, he said right out, he said, how many times he found what looked like ships or something in this area that's supposed to be water. Even NASA says that was some kind of lake or some kind of body of water there where they're at. And that particular view that they were looking at, and he found what looked like ships. Why is it so hard to fathom? If life did exist on Mars, and we all believe that it has, and it had a catastrophic, whatever event, and I believe that If it was a lot like Earth and they had a civilization like us, why wouldn't they have something that floats on water? It's not hard to understand. It sounds pretty straightforward to me. Now, I'm sure it'll differ in a little bit, but I don't believe it would differ all that much. It has to have buoyancy. That's pretty much it. Whatever how they build it after the point makes no difference, right? Equalizer in 2019. Well, you said in 2019 we are still trying to blow the shit out of each other, but if the world came together as Earthlings as one whole unit, we could advance so much quicker. And I totally agree. Um, and it's sad that we're not. But is that the plan? Is that the whole plan? If we keep up the wars, you guys are being bombarded by this constant barrage of BS on the TV about wars, this, that, the other, blah, 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 constantly. And, so now it keeps you, constantly trained on that and not thinking about the big picture, what we are part of, something much larger. And I think that's the whole idea of it. I think that's exactly what's going on. Bobby, yes, you're right. And you said on there, NASA says that there are magnetic fields in 6 or 8 places on Mars. They're talking. They're talking the size of the United States or USA. Why aren't they putting the rover there? Seems like more change for life. Well, yeah, I mean, and I think they might actually be there now. Right off the bat, they're in the equatorial region, right? So we know it's warmer, and it'd be the best place to find life anywhere, or at least proof of past life in the equatorial region because it's the warmer parts of the planet, just like we have here. So warmest spots go down into like Amazon jungles, so on and so forth. Warmest spots, that's where you're going to find life or past life, all these best chances of it, right? So I believe that's what they're there for. And I believe they are on that. But even if they're not, the machines are insulated to be able to withstand any kind of radiation. So it doesn't bother them in the least bit. But it actually gets so warm there that you actually see hot pixels in some of these photos. You can see the little purple, pink little pixels in the photos because the camera that's caused by heat from inside the camera. So it does get very warm there, and they'll tell you that. 357 Robbie, yeah, good to see you in there. So don't keep a mind so open your brain falls out. Yeah, you don't want to be doing that. That'd be a bad day. Libby Terrell says that would be great, Chris. Community forum. Yeah, I could do that. I can actually open it up and just do that. James Gregg, okay, man, you just answered that, Chris. Spot on. Absolutely. Lou Senza, he said, logically, the Mars sun, well, I'm sorry, the Mars sun is just a little more than half the size as from Earth. So on a 90-degree day on Earth would be about a 50-degree day on Mars. Jacket weather. Yeah, but keep something in mind though. We don't have any filtering. According to NASA, if the atmosphere is very thin on Mars, then it has no filter to filter it out. So even though the sun is further away, it is smaller in the sky, it can still be strong, just as strong as here on Earth. So because of less filtering from the sun, so or of the sun, I should say. So I believe it can be just as hot. They said there was 104 degree was registered in the shade from the Curiosity rover. So, and I believe that. Now there could be these wild temperature swings because if there is no um, you know, atmosphere. Now it does get cloudy, but it doesn't not like I think here on Earth. But if it is very thin, then you get a lot of radiation or cooling, and so it should actually cool very quickly on Mars. So you have these huge temperature swings. This is probably why you get your dust storms and maybe at dusk or dawn, because of like quick heating, quick cooling, and you'll have that clash of weather here and there. Or it's not as bad as they claim, and it doesn't get down quite as cool because it's like 180 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit or whatever it may be. Um, that could very well be, if the atmosphere is what they claim it is. So that's what you got to take in consideration. But if it is as thin as they claim, then it can get just as hot here as it does. I'm sorry, on Mars than it does here. SC, what's going on, man? Good to see you in there. Hello, Chris, and everyone. He says. Yeah, natural spirit. You're not the only one who believes it. A lot of people believe that. He said, I believe many things on the moon are from Atlantis and even older, like Maldek, where the giants came from and used the moon as an ark to transport themselves to Earth and Mars, huge buildings on the moon. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people believe that because like I said, even if we talked about this before, where a lot of ancient civilizations talked about how there was wars on the moon or between Earth and the moon and Mars. And if that's true, we may actually be seeing what's left of it. This is where these nuclear, we see this nuclear signature on Mars. There you go. But what I find interesting is that when they had the two major explosions in 1941, I don't know. Like I said, it just seems a little odd that, a lot of the stuff, because a lot of people will ask me, well, if this is millions of years old, that stuff would have been gone by now, meaning either windblown, either rusted or whatever the case, it would have been gone. Well, think about it. Millions of years, what would happen to the structures here on Earth? Hell, even sheet metal, like, pure stainless would be trash at some point. If it's millions upon millions of years old, you would expect that to be almost gone, right? And everything else would be history. Trees, everything would envelop it. It would just take over everything on the planet. Yeah, I mean, basically, there'd be almost no signs of it. Why are we seeing signs here on Mars? That's why I don't think it's that old, and I don't think the destruction of that planet is that old either. And it may be, if it is in that time frame, 1941, it makes sense. Now that the nuclear fallout's going there, they want to go there by what? 2023, 2024, even if it's 2030. It's giving it plenty of time for that radiation to drop and settle where it's safe to go. And you can go other places. You don't have to be where was the face of Cydonia, in the Sidonian region where that major explosion was. Imagine that. And like I said, all of these landers or any kind of lander or rovers are just south of that area. Imagine that. Large explosion, smaller explosion, and they're just south of those. Imagine that. Yeah. Coincidence? I don't think so. Richard, you said, hey, Chris, have you ever thought about the people who have the power to control disclosure, maybe trying to become a future breakaway civilization? That's a possibility. Sure. Because, I mean, and I think that's already happened. I mean, again, if we were to go by a timeline saying that, they never stop going to the moon, if they can go back and forth to the moon, let's say they aced it so well that they can go back and forth to the moon with ease. Okay, then what's to stop them going to Mars? Back in the 80s. I mean, they could just simply went there, okay, not even a big deal now. And they just built right there. And if they are lying about Mars and it's more suitable for people, I mean, what's the worst going to happen? Maybe, let's say it's thin air, it's like being up on a mountain on the highest elevation. Okay, so you bring a breathing apparatus, a little extra oxygen with you. Just put it on, maybe a light jacket, go walk and do what you got to do, build these things, and there you go. I mean, obviously, if there's huge dust storms, you can't be outside, common sense. Things like that, you'd have to take shelter. It's no different than you would do here on Earth. You would do the same bloody thing. You would just say, well, clearly it's too cold out, because some places in the world are like, below zero on a regular day, or if it's extreme wind chills, they got to cover their face or their lungs would instantly freeze. So, I mean, you got to take this into consideration. You just hide. You go into hiding or go into a shelter. It's no different. And if they could go to the moon with ease, why the hell couldn't they go to Mars? And if they already perfected anti-gravitational, it's just nothing to get there at all, guys. I don't think it's too far-fetched to believe that. I'm not saying we can prove that, but with all of this stuff, and I show you guys patents where they had anti-gravitational devices and stuff like that, and these crafts that they're trying to patent, which they have patent rather, it's right there on Google. I mean, you can clearly see this. So the stuff is out there. It's definitely out there. And I think they've done this a long time ago, and I think they've been traveling since. Why stop? Like I said, why stop it? Just, okay, we did it on the moon. That's it. We're done. Throw all that stuff away. Done. James, you said, Chris, let's all be honest about one thing that we can all agree on is that why the F is NASA hiding all of the evidence that we are showing us? Honestly, what do they tell people? What does that tell people? Well, exactly. Just the fact that they're lying. And why obfuscate a photo to begin with? Again, there's nothing there to see in these photos. It's just rocks, and more rocks. So why hide anything? Why CGI the hell out of stuff? It simply makes no darn sense. It really doesn't. Sweet Nellies. He said, glad I made it here. My first time. Well, good to see you in there, man. Old lady. Let's see. I like that noodles. Oh, oops. Not good. This thing jumped up on me again. Shirley Shipman Johnson. Hey, Chris, better late than ever. Absolutely. Good to see you in there. Noodles, you said economic reasons are forefront, but after the boom, so to speak, claims versus territorial resourcing sharing should have some rules. Oh, yeah. Well, that goes out the window. Texas David said, howdy, Chris. What's going on, David P? Natural Spirit, you said Mars extraterrestrials, underground bases is where they are. A lot of people believe that because think about it. We actually have underground too. Underground tunnels that span throughout the United States as well as other countries, right? There's food under there. There's all kinds of there's buildings, there's structures, there's that we've actually built. Of course, they're worried about, if the world should come to an end or great catastrophe, they could basically live underground for like years to come. So you got these big domes, deep underground, some of them missile bases, but they got just these big mega tunnels, right? And it's nothing new. You can look this up. But I believe a lot of it has happened. Think about it. If you could see the change coming and you already had underground structures, you can simply go under them. Now, did they live like that normally? That's a good possibility too. Maybe they did it for good reason. Maybe in some parts of Mars, the magnetic field wasn't that strong to begin with. So some of them had to live underground. Why they would do that, I would rather live in a place where it's safer to live. But regardless, maybe it wasn't always like that. Maybe it was, excuse me. And maybe it was, if it was magnetic field was like ours, like on Earth, but then it started to weaken certain spots. So they decided to go underground. Maybe they didn't want to get out of that area, whatever the case was. Who knows? I believe that they probably did, being that if the radiation is that bad, that big word is, if it is really that bad, then you would have to take shelter. You simply just burrow in the dirt, make a structure in the dirt. It's perfect insulation for any kind of radiation, right? Josh D said, coincidence does not exist, Chris. Well, exactly. I don't believe that it does either. Oh, no. Flat. Oh, good one. Your Highness says, Chris, what is your take on flat earthers? I think they're a little flat in the brain. Are they hurting our cause? No, because they're all nutters. They're all nut jobs. You know, the you can't even entertain that. There's just no way of it. It's as simple as that. It's crazy. I mean, if you've ever flown in a plane, you can see a curvature. It's as simple as that. And I've actually done a video on that. Our Earth is not flat. You can look it up on my page. And where I actually taken a flight, and they always say, well, you don't understand the windows. They actually screw up the photo when you're taking it. Nah, it's bull. I literally was on there and I said, guys, look I'm taking a picture. I'm on the tarmac. I'm over here looking at the control tower. There's nothing. There's antennas coming out of it. None of them are bent or, got that kind of frog-eyed view or whatever the hell they call it. It's got none of that. And, I said, guys, this proves it right off the bat. Then we're in the air. So in other words, I want them to see the photo while I was on the ground. Nothing's, you don't see any kind of warped kind of photo in there because of the plane, windows. And then when I was in the air, so I wanted to show them that first. Now, still looking out the window, you can see the curvature. So, and of course, I'm like, oh, that's not true. Whatever. Proof's in the pudding, man. It's as simple as that. But yeah, I don't entertain that stuff too much. It's just crap. Eclectic interest. Hello. What's going on? Good to see you in there. That would be interesting. I'd like to do that. You said, Cloudy with a Chance of UFOs. You said, get Bob Lazar on the podcast for a chat. That would be interesting. I wouldn't mind doing that. Equal, as you said, correct. Look at Chernobyl in the Ukraine. Radiation has dropped. Animals and vegetation are growing freely. It's the radioactive dust that's the problem. Beta particles, inhalation. Well, inhalation, yeah. Ingestion, absorption. Well, exactly. Now, if you get enough of that settles, and it becomes neutral after so many years. Yeah, I mean, they showed all kinds of animals. Now, don't get me wrong; they had they had genetic problems and stuff like that. But that's because they lived through that while that stuff was still in. So generation after generation of animal has grown like extra legs. They're just crazy looking things, right? But then a lot of them just look absolutely normal because they come from the outside and they bred with these other animals. So now the genetics are getting back to normal. So you can live there. And I remember seeing a video a few years back where the guy was literally there and he said, yeah, you can walk about here. I wouldn't live there because it's still that kind of weird little bit of fallout you just don't want to be messing with. But yeah, I mean, it's all coming back to life. So if we were to go by the time frame in 1941, had these major explosions and they weren't even on the ground. They were in the atmosphere. Think about it. Just that alone, just the explosions, kills off everything because it reaches further. So the radiation reaches further, kills off everything on the planet. And we don't even know if that's the only place it's ever been hit because they haven't been anywhere else. But if you go around and if you had other rovers in other parts of Mars and they say, well, wait a minute, there's more here and there's more here. How do we know? If this wasn't planet-wide bombed or if they killed themselves off or whatever the reason was, doesn't matter. Maybe it was like a worldwide kind of like attack all at the same time to kill everything on the planet. How do we know? It's pure speculation, but still, the thing is, if that's what happened, give it 1941 up to this point. You're talking what, 80 years roughly, give or take, doesn't matter. Okay, it's enough for it to settle, radiation settle. We can now go there and now check things out. This is the reason why we got rovers there and not people. I think we can send the people. We just don't want to do that. Or we already have, and they're in a much better area where they're totally away from that and they don't have to worry about it. Yeah, alien talent. Yeah, we got ion drives, plasma, and all that other stuff. Antigravitics, stuff like that. Which, and then when they say, "Well, we're using the Atlas V rocket," oh my God, seriously, stop. Yeah, John White, you said I've heard a lot of theories about what happened on Mars. The one I believe is a planet blew up from a wall, causing the asteroid belt and fragments bombarded Mars. That's a very good possibility. But again, keep in mind that could have been part of what killed off the population or whatever was living on the planet. But we're still talking about nuclear. So whatever happened there, whether it's atomic or, nuclear, it doesn't really matter. It was enough to devastate the planet and kill whatever was on it. So, to me, it's just like, if that's what happened, and again, we can look at the time frame, it makes perfect sense in a sense because this is the reason why we're still seeing all this stuff on the planet. And it's not deteriorated, it's not gone, it's not obliterated, it's there, but it's in ruins. And it makes perfect sense. Because if it was millions upon millions of years ago, would you see anything left to it? I don't think so. I don't think they build everything out of like a stainless steel, like because like I said, look at the ruins here, or I should say the structures here, the ancient civilizations have, like the pyramids, so on and so forth. They're there for, well, they're going back now. They're going many more years now than they thought. But when you think about that, yeah, I mean, look what it looks like now. But if you were to go back when they were built, they were pristine. They had these gold kind of caps on them, and so on and so forth. They had like a lining, like a gold soft stone, all over these pyramids and stuff. So when you look at that and you say, okay, it was so much pristine back in the day. Now put this thing probably millions upon millions of millions of years ago that they're talking about like life was on Mars. Let's do that. Would we see any of that? I don't think so. Yeah, James Talley, I agree. The earth is not flat. So sick of these foolish crap. Well, that's absolutely true. I mean, it's just, you can't even entertain the idea. It's so silly, right? It's mindless crap. That's the way I look at it. Nick Mad, you said, hello, Chris. Love your channels. I appreciate it, Nick. Good to see you in there, man. Edward, you said happy Thanksgiving, Chris. Well, I appreciate that. And same back to everyone up there. Happy Thanksgiving or early Thanksgiving. No fun, no future in flat Earth. Darn. But yeah. Well, yeah, it's premeditated, right? You said equalizer. You said accidents don't exist. It's always someone's fault. Well, it's a decision. I always see that. Oh, it's an accident. No, it's kind of like a real car accident. Think about this a minute. It's usually a decision somebody makes. Decision to look at their phone while they're driving, to drink something, putting on makeup. It's a decision. So it was an accident caused by a bad decision. So yeah. So at some point, unless of course you're just driving along, something faulty went bad on your car, like something the tire rod end broke off and of course the car went out of control and you hit something. Well, then it was kind of a mistake at that point because you didn't have your car up to par. So therefore, this is what happened. So these things happen, But I agree with you, Equalizer. Natural Spirit, you said an outer body came into the solar system and hit one of Mars' moons. That same moon then came back and hit Mars and produced a Mars giant canyon. Well, yeah, if you're talking about the Valles Marineris area, some of them say that like a planet rubbed into it. Some say it was electrical storm. Basically, it's like our own Grand Canyon. Only difference is that Grand Canyon, we're going to call it a Grand Canyon, is like basically you can put the width of the United States in it. That's how large this thing is. So it's quite large. And to me, it's just like, it's crazy. However, it doesn't matter how it got there. It's just, it's huge. Uh, Phil, you said, you're talking about that. You're talking to SC about that. Have you seen the video of the moon? Rather, I posted a while back what looks like two waves traveling around the edge of the moon. If I could say something about that, Phil, I actually did a video on my other channel because what was his name that did that? Crow 777. He initially did that. What he failed to tell everybody was that he lived next to an airport, and a lot of that is like a jet wash. And so let's suppose for a moment you see something go by. Let's say there's a jet. You're over there filming the moon. And it goes by real quick. Of course, he doesn't take the video. It doesn't show you that part. But then you see this kind of weirdness around the moon. You see these what look like waves. Now, a lot of people say that's not true. He actually caught something that was legit. And I actually believe that too. And there's still maybe some proof to that. But, what I'm saying, is it possible that the moon, that somehow they're putting over this filter over the moon to try to cloak what's over it? But then I read on more and more, and there's a guy on there, and I forget what he calls himself now, but he literally lives next to an airport, okay? And, he talks about all different jets, whether it's the 747 Boeing, 737s, 27, whatever size craft. And you can literally see it going, one taking off, and you see that right around the moon, that dazzling rippling on the moon. And so is it that, or is it something else to it? It could very well be. And I thought maybe there was something about the moon that was projecting as some kind of hologram over it so that you couldn't see the actual details. But yet the LRO, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbit, can see that quite clear what's on the moon. So makes you wonder, right? Josh D, you put on there is no fantasy that can match truth and reality. When disclosure comes, even we will be surprised about some aspects. Oh, I guarantee it. Rex, you might be right about that. Flat Earth movement is run by NASA, and it could very well be. Let's say it's not, but it was put out there, thrown out into the internet purposely to have people battling it out. Think about it. It makes perfect sense. Use a little reverse psychology on people, and they're none the wiser. Think about it this way. You get people battling out, oh, no, the Earth is flat. So therefore, we've been lied to. We've never been out in space. So therefore, we've never been to the moon, never been to Mars. We live in a globe, basically a snow globe. And I think that's the biggest kick I've ever got out of that, because it shows like a rocket, and they said, oh, look at a real recording of it hitting the dome. I'm thinking, what the hell are these guys talking about? So you literally You literally see this thing come up and it goes, and you can hear it go, and I said, yeah, yeah, see, we hit it. No, they did not. The thing ran out of fuel purposely and then came back to Earth. And then it was spinning and everything else. It's funny to see this because what they don't show is that when the rocket stops, you still see it accelerating upward. So it did not stop like it hit something. It's so asinine. It's just you just go, how do these people even believe this crap? Nacho Libre, you said, "Woohoo! Live, rough day here, so I'll have to catch up on the stream tomorrow. Everyone have a great evening. Well, good to see you in there. I understand about the heavy day, man. It was like my day was crazy as well. So good to see you in there. I'm glad you stopped in there, Nacho. Absolutely, Rachel. I totally agree with you. Radioactive isotopes are dangerous to our genetics. This is what I find interesting too. I'm glad you mentioned that because, like you always hear Mars, but NASA talking about Mars, how let's not contaminate it. At least that was their, objective to begin with, right off the bat. Do not screw with the planet. Do not contaminate it. Whatever. All right. Well, wait a minute. We have a radioactive isotope that's powering the rover. What happens if that thing leaks or goes stupid? Oh, well, that goes out the window. Um, so, they believe, of course, the wheels and everything will go to hell in that thing before the radioactive isotope actually completely dies off. That's basically what it is. It's deteriorating. It's producing power. I think it's like 150 watts, maybe a hair bit more on the Curiosity rover. And that's what's powering the thing. People get confused a lot. They're like, oh, well, what the hell is causing that thing Curiosity rover to keep working? The solar panel should have been, blocked up by now, like the Opportunity. I'm confused because last time I checked, there's no solar panels on the Curiosity. It's completely nuclear powered. Again, radioactive isotope, which is decaying, causing it to produce power. That's what controls the thing. So, and this has been not the first time. They actually had, I looked at a photo of the moon and they actually had a small one that looked identical to it. If you look at the backside of that, the very back end of the Curiosity rover, it is a cylindrical object with fins sticking out of it. You'll see it all the way around it. Well, they had one on the moon. It was like the same thing, like a nuclear powered something that they took up with them. And it was powering probably whatever they had up there. Pretty interesting. Now, if it wasn't that, it was uncanny, just like the one they have on the Curiosity rover. Almost two identical things. And because this is going back, 1969, even 1970, even the earlier or the later, I should say, missions, doesn't matter. The point is they had something like that back then. And a lot of these, like satellites we got out in space, they're nuclear powered. That's why a lot of them, they last for so long. And then, of course, the radioactive isotope is basically stopped decaying and is just dead and it just falls to Earth. Metalhead, hey, good to see you in here, man. Do you think the American government bombed Mars after World War II? I don't know about that time frame, but I mean, I've always said that like a purely speculation. I said, can you imagine if the inhabitants on Mars are tiny people? What kind of threat would they be to us? Is it possible we could have done it? Or forget about nuclear. How about we just, like I said, we send like this cocktail of every disease we have here on Earth and just boom, like a double whammy, like send it out, maybe a nuclear as well as that. And it just basically litters the atmosphere and into the ground. It goes all over. Because if you do it in the atmosphere, radioactive the activity will travel through the atmosphere along with any kind of germ warfare. And it literally goes off into the atmosphere, spreads throughout the planet, kills everything in its path. Is that a possibility that happened? That we decided to bomb the planet so we can have it for ours? I don't know why we'd do that, but everything will find a way. Life will find a way. It'll start growing again. It'll be just fine. So, is that a possibility? Again, purely speculative, but is it possible? Matt M 103, you said, I'm pretty sure that they forgot to cover it up or overlooked its solid proof in my eyes. I assume you're talking about the video. I'm not sure. But yeah, if you are, yeah. Yeah, Eagle One, you're absolutely right. I thought the eclipse approved. I'm sorry, disproved flat Earth theory. Again, yeah, silliness at its finest. James, you said, Chris, man, your videos and pictures are just amazing. How much visible proof and evidence do people really need before they pride of denying the truth is spat out and world wakes the hell up? Well, you'd be surprised. Like I said, you can have people. You can literally show like this cup on Mars and go, "Oh, you put that in it. You CGI'd that in there. You did that." So it's almost like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You're trying to show the proof, the real proof of what's on the planet. And like I said, they go, I don't believe that's what that is. It's a rock. Okay. Now, if you ever found something of real, meaning they screwed up royally, or somebody let that out and gave one of us the photo and said this is the real deal, and it's you know uh, unobfuscated, nothing manipulated, and it was the true to life. And I mean, like you'd be like, oh, what you're saying. People would go, oh, you made that up. No matter how you look at it, people are just going to claim it's wrong, it's not right. You made this up. You CGI that in there. I mean, the list goes on, right? So there's always going to be doubters, man. That's all there is to it. There's always going to be haters. We know that for a fact. James Smith, he said, hi, peeps. Hope everyone's well. We are doing well, James. Thanks for being here. Good to see you in there. Hope you're doing well as well. Photography Light Magic. I don't know why that said was actually holding it. Noodles. I see you guys going back and forth. It's pretty funny. Bush Corey, what's going on, Corey? You said, oh, stuck at work and missed your stream, bro. I'll catch up tomorrow. Hope you all are well. The railway calls, by the way, great last video. Well, I appreciate it, Corey, and don't work too hard, man, and have yourself a good one there, right? Go ahead and that one too. Equalize, he said, I have to go. Nice and interactive live show. Great bunch of people in the chat. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate your efforts. I appreciate you being here, Equalizer, and I do appreciate the kind words, man. You have yourself a good one there, right? Yes, Alien Tenno. You said James Cragen, check out Dr. Brandenburg, Xeon 129 on Mars. You'll be enlightened, dude. Yeah, absolutely, because they've found it. There's proof of that. And that can only be through something that was built and used in a bomb. I mean, it's basically what it comes down to. So that's why they believe something happened to that planet. Either they killed themselves off or somebody killed that planet off. It's like, they say, well, you can get some kind of that weird radiation, some kind of crap naturally. I don't believe that crap. I don't. Maybe a small percentage. No, I don't believe you're going to find it the way they did, because there was an abundance of it the way they talked about. SC Chris, I believe that the Jets do that, but I do think crows might be real. Well, I'll tell you what. You know what done it for me, SC, is this is what went really weird for me. Subscribe to Crow. Think he's a great guy, and then he just went totally flippy. I mean, he went from, hey guys, look. I mean, he's showing like what looked like. Remember this? I don't know if you watched how long you've been watching, but it looked like crafts near the moon. You can see like what looked like he called it afterburners or thrusters or something. You can see it literally go. Now, for all we know, it's around Earth, right? But what I found interesting was that when he showed that, it looked like crafts and everything else, and he believed that and everything else. Then all of a sudden, the moon's a hologram. Oh, wait a minute, what the hell? How do you go from one extreme to another? And then he started doing these blogs and all this other crap. And as far as I'm concerned, he went off the deep end. He lost me at that crap after that. I just stopped watching him and listening to him, because he just went totally weird on me. It's a hologram. You can see through it. No, you can't. I mean, come on. You have that weirdness. If you ever look at the Apollo missions, right? Because of the brightness. Now, I don't know if that's because of their, how much light they let into the camera and the way they adjusted it. But if you notice, you'll see the lander, and you see the astronaut coming off the ladder, and you can literally see the landscape through the astronaut. Think about this a minute. Just watch some of these videos, and you'll literally see like the landscape through the astronaut. How does that work? It's the way the photo and the ISO set up on the camera, the way this thing's, set up, and you just had that weird effect to it. It doesn't mean that these people are transparent, common sense, right? And that's what I think he was getting from that. And like I said, at first I was like, wow, this guy's showing some real cool stuff. He's showing some really awesome things, because where you see, again, it looks like crafts, stuff flying around, and he believed absolutely wholeheartedly. And then all of a sudden, the moon's it's a hologram. I went, whoa. And I don't know what flipped him like that, but yeah, I don't believe that. And, when he started going off with like on this weird tangent, I just went, nah, I'm good. What's going on there, Taff? Good to see you in there. Their head is still in Iron Sky. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Guys ever get to see that movie? That's kind of bizarre. Noodles, you put on there GRU, FSB, CIA, and M15 tracking idiots since first flat Earth website. Yeah, you got that right. I don't know why this was held either, Mags. He said, get me out of here, Noodles. I'm done with people treating me like a freak or stupid. Well, who's doing that? I think I'll just be a nerd for the rest of my life. Well, welcome to the club. I'm a nerd too, so don't feel bad. And proud of it. Love doing nerdy things. Awesome. Christian Yu, what's going on? Good to see you in there. You said good evening. Noodles, yeah, nuclear mutated Martian hornets would be bad. You got that right. You think the Japanese ones are bad? Let me go all the way down here. Moon Man said, hi, Chris. What's going on, man? Jackie Chili's 007, you said that video you recently uploaded was great. That looked like a crashed jet, in my opinion, or some kind of transportation vehicle. Yeah, it did have that weird look, something that we'd see here on Earth. It looked like some kind of weird jet, right? And I totally agree. Goldheart, I think you put a great channel. What do you think? Moon stuff is ancient or still in use? I don't know. That's a great question, because what I've seen in a lot of these photos was that it looked like you have these crafts that are on their side. They look like they've been there for thousands of millions of years. Just crazy stuff. I mean, and then you see some things that look like completely intact, and it look like these structures all over the moon. Hard to tell. I don't think I got to be honest with you guys, and I've said this before. I think this solar system, and this is cool, because when they said about the dinosaurs, remember we talked about this before, where the last one, I think it was the last chat we had, where they said when the dinosaurs were here on Earth, and of course it's supposed to be what, 65 million years ago, that Earth was in a different part of the galaxy. Well, what happens if our solar system was close to another solar system on the other side of the galaxy? Well, if that's true, how do we know that it didn't, I use the term lily pad, kind of jump over the planet to planet to get to ours? and life was seeded from somewhere else. And or we had a whole bunch of life on this in the solar system living, and somehow I don't know. We just thought some of the planets. Well, we're supposed to be a binary star system, right, guys? There's supposed to be two suns. One, we got a red. I think it's a red dwarf now. It's a dead dwarf, so to speak. So there's supposed to be another sun way out there. And now, if they were both, alive and well, like our star is now, we'd have heating from both sides. So all the planets would have life on them. And they claim there's a lot more planets now in our solar system than we thought. If that's true, then there was a sun on both ends and heating the solar system. So we had, probably life on every planet. Is it possible over millions of years, they've jumped off this solar system and all you see is remnants of what was past? Kind of like we see ancient civilizations here on Earth where we've got structures that have just totally been abandoned. Like the Mayans, they said, well, we don't even know what the hell happened to them. They just up and left their cities, up and left them. And so they don't know if they was warring with, they think, was it the Vikings? What the heck were they supposed to be warring with? But supposedly they just up and left their cities. What for? But for whatever reason, if they left it, it's kind of like here. Maybe the whole solar system was alive with life, meaning humanoids like us, and then we just took off and went to another one. And what we're seeing now is just leftover, ruins from these things years and millions of years ago. Pure speculation. What do you guys think? Is that possible? Craig, you said, hey, Chris, if I could ask one question to the government. Oh, if you could ask, I'm sorry. One question to the government. They had to answer truthfully. What would it be? Yeah, is there life other than us? That's it. I mean, is there life, and I don't mean plant life, is there life like us, or was there life, intelligent civilizations out there besides us? That, again, it just broadens your mind. If they were to come out with the truth, now I already believe that because I already said that. I believe we're part of something much bigger, so you actually feel bigger inside. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. You kind of feel smaller because you go, "Oh my God, there's a lot more life out there." So now you kind of feel smaller. But on the other side of the token, you go, "No, but I feel bigger inside because you're part of something much bigger, or we're part of something much bigger." Depending on, again, if there was life in the solar system and now it's no longer there, and all we're seeing is remnants, right? Rob, Robert Fogarty, you put on there, thanks for the videos. When will the media ask the question, hey, what rock does that? I totally agree. It's almost like they're told, don't go next to this kind of crap. Just don't talk about it. Don't put it on there. So on. The only person I've seen was RT will do that once in a while. Russia Today. If you watch that show, they will actually have done that. When they had the Canadian Prime Minister on there, he talked about UFOs and everything else. And they don't mind actually doing that. Just like that program I was on, the Russian program, they were doing a thing on that as well. And they had they had that other military guy that was supposed to be on Mars for like, what was it, 7 or 17 years or whatever it was, 11 years, had him on the show as well. So just some of the, at some point it has to come out. And I think it's starting to come out, here and there. Even if, even some of these sites are saying, well, they're putting a lot of our finds on there, but then they're kind of like scoffing at it. But more and more people are saying, yeah, but what if? So now they start looking at more videos like mine or other people's, other photos and going, wait a minute. I don't know if all of this is crap like they claim it is. Yeah, Renee, you should be able to post a link. Done it in the past. Other people have done it in the past and just shared it. Yeah, Rachel, I believe that. He said, I think humanity used the same weapons on Mars to blast this planet to kill off all the dinosaurs, just so that its food chain stays in line, and that they brought most of the creatures here after the blast and terraformed it as a whole to suit human life. Why not? Let's say the planet was in fact like that. It was dormant, so to speak, and then they set off these. If you remember, Elon Musk was talking about doing the same thing. Now, let's suppose that same thing they're talking about was done in 1941. And that's what I believe. I think somehow they bombed that off or it just happened, whatever they did, whether they did it or we did it, doesn't matter. And that's what happened. I mean, um, if we did it, it makes sense. We just knew we can terraform the planet so we can make way to get on that planet. So again, 2023, 24, or 2030, in material, the thing is we want to get there. Once all this is dropped down, all of the anything that's got to do with radiation is dropped off, we're free to go on there. So Divine Caitlin, good to see you in there. Hello, everyone. Gosh, I am late. Yeah, I've actually stayed on here a little bit longer because I know a lot of you folks try to, get these things done and then try to jump on there. So I understand. That's why I try to stand a little bit later, so you guys can, see what people are talking about and stuff, and maybe get, either a comment in or whatever you want to do, or just a simple hello. So it's good to see you in there. Uh, Power vapor supply. You said I bet first panspermia started with a within a big icy comet, and you may very well be right. Well, there's some scientists out there believe that believe in the theory of panspermia, and I do as well. And I think when you look at it, something in fact did happen to Mars, whether it was another body coming from outer space slamming into the planet. And of course, you get this debris fly off the planet, and it makes its way here to Earth, which they have found. Then life could have started from there, those rocks there, and seeded life here. So, and technically, we are basically the Martians, right? If that's true, if that theory is correct. Strange guys, 1111. You said hello all. Just got in this chat. Better late than ever. Good to see you in there. Alien Tenno, it's a great question. You said, question is, people, why is our past being repressed? Is someone afraid of what we will become? I don't know. It's a great question. It makes you wonder. It's like, what is the point? Again, I think I don't know. I mean, because even like we were talking about earlier, where it has the ancient civilizations here on Earth, they're repressing a lot of that, and they're trying to erase that past. What for? What's the point? Man, let the planet grow, man. I think. What do you guys think? If they came out tomorrow and they said, "Oh, by the way, there was life on the moon. We found structures there as well as Mars." It's almost like I think people would change their whole mindset. Okay, we are part of something else. Let's come together as a people, like we were talking about, and a couple of you guys had said that we would progress further and that we would actually be better as a human, as human beings. And I think a lot of this would stop. Maybe the wars would stop, whether for legit reasons or not. Yeah, we know how that goes. So I think that we would become one as a human species and human beings as opposed to, this racist crap, wanting to take other people's resources from their countries, so on and so forth. I think all of that would stop. Let's get together, man, as a whole and become the human race. That's the whole idea of it. Monty, look at the Farsight Press channel on the remote viewing of how the pyramids were constructed. Yeah, I've heard theories about that too. It's pretty cool. Yeah, Tristan, you're right about that. Tristan Aries, you said, yeah, except the girl interviewing him on RT was acting like a total ass. Well, yeah, she didn't. You could see like she was kind of like laughing under her breath, kind of thing. Yeah, not cool. I thought that was kind of weird too, how she did that. Um, yeah, it wasn't cool at all because it's kind of like I said, she was kind of like laughing it off and kind of like kind of this little snub kind of way of doing it. Yeah. Bye, Cameron Smith. Good seeing you. Noodles, yep. We who become one. Type world uh, from Carl Sagan's Cosmos. Yep, exactly. Strange Guy is 1111. He said, no doubt other beings are for sure. Absolutely. I don't believe for a minute. I mean, let's forget about all this stuff. Let's put it all aside. We've never seen any photos of the moon, never seen any photos from Mars, never seen any of that. Let's put it all aside. Just looking at the skies, guys, there's no way I can sit there and look at it and go, oh, yeah, we're the only one here on this planet. That's it. I just can't do that because your mind tells you you're part of something else just by looking out there. And maybe that's where some of these guys, these ancient civilizations got these, they could call them, out there, they're gods, stuff like that. Could very well be, right? I think they've seen something much more than, you know, what they even wrote about. They've seen something much more. You're right, Rachel. Yeah, NASA quoted that our moon is in Earth's atmosphere just to eliminate anyone who questions that we have not left the Van Allen belt. Smart thinking, if you ask me, guys. Well, that's true. Well, here's the thing. I mean, their argument, and a lot of people say, well, we can't get to the moon because of the Van Allen belt. Stop right there, please. Has nothing to do with the Van Allen belts. Van Allen belts change. Most of the time, there's two. Sometimes there's three, depending on the solar activity of the sun. Now, NASA knows how to get through these. You can go through the north or south poles. It's thinner, much faster you can get through. This is the reason why when you see them come up, they'll like curve. They'll try to slingshot, but then they'll try to come out past. And if you go through the Van Allen belts, it's so briefly that it's not enough to affect the astronauts. It's absolute bull. And that's these flat Earth whack jobs we'll talk about. Oh, you can't get through the Van Allen. Stop it. Stop. It has nothing to do with the Van Allen belts. They can get through it, even though some people will say, well, no, some scientists said that. That's true if you go directly through it. But they've learned to actually, get by them by just going through either the south or the north poles. They seem to be thinner. Now, the other thing is to remember is that most of the time there's two Van Allen belts. Sometimes it's three, like I said, but these things weaken. They get stronger. They get weakened. And they know this. They know they can get through it. So it's not a question of whether they can get through it. They can. It's when. Woke as F, yeah. They don't want the masses to come together, divide and conquer. Exactly right. Keep people fighting and warring with each other. That's the way to cripple them. Keep them at odds with each other. Strange guys, thank you for the support. I do really appreciate that. God bless my friend. Keep up the great work you do. Well, again, thank you for the kind words and the support. It's greatly appreciated. Like I said, it's like we all have differences of our opinions, but I think we can agree a lot is that, again, I think you guys would agree that we're part of something much larger. And when you stop and really, really think of this stuff, it just really adds up. And, when you research this stuff yourself, that's why I always tell people, research this stuff, man. You don't have to believe anything I say. Go research it, check it out for yourself. And you're just going to be like, wow. Because knowledge is everything, man. That's all there is to it. James, you said, Chris, the video that clearly showed some sort of ship or craft on its side agreed by nearly all of the people who commented on the video. I mean, honestly, we are not all hallucinating, man. Well, and that's the thing. Now, is it a mass hallucination? Woo, we're all nuts. No. Is it an actual craft? We cannot vet it. We don't know. It's pure speculation, but it does, in fact, look like that. And just the fact that it looks like that and not natural is, like I said, to me, is something that they should try to explain away. And they will try to explain it away. They'll just say, well, yeah, it's just your pareidolia. It's just swamp gas. To me, like I said, when you see that, okay, if let's suppose the structures are not a ship, again, it's Mars. Why is it there? Simple as that. I mean, Bolt, hey there, you said spent half the day looking at Gigapan 441. So much debris. I can't really say what it is, but it is in Iraq. Absolutely. And like I said, if you guys want me to do a second part of that 1441, I'm sorry. let me know, because I'll tell you what, I might even still do it, because there's a whole bunch of it in there that I did not even mention, because I was trying to concentrate on the top of that so-called butte or mountain, that I didn't get to the bottom pieces, and there's so much more to there to see. And I was even going to comment about my buddy, because my buddy Mike, he's into this stuff, he loves it, but he's not cuckoo about it. In other words, he's really super skeptical. But when I showed him that plane, he looked at it and he goes, "Hey man, let me ask you a question." And I said, "What's that?" He says, "Why does it look like a giant mechanical insect hugging that plane?" I went, "What the hell are you talking about?" He said, "Look, man, you can see the head. Remember I showed where it looked like the, trying to remember what part of that thing it was. Anyway, we got the cockpit, okay, you got the canopy and everything else. He said it looked like the head, and you can see like it looked like an eye and a mouth, and it looked like three mechanical legs, and it looked like a wing." I went, "What are you talking about?" But when I looked at it, and he pointed it out to me, and he says, hold on," and he got down and he sat down on the chair, and he drew the thing around all the marks where they're there, and put it there. And I'll be damned, I couldn't unsee it after. It's bizarre. Like I said, and I didn't even bother to put that in the video, guys. I was like, I want to see if anybody else sees that, and clearly nobody else seen it. So maybe he's just on the pot pipe too much. Who the hell knows? But I thought that was really weird, because I couldn't unsee it after. I said, "Yeah, that looks strange. What the hell is that?" I don't know. El Humanoid. Hello, Chris. Love your channels. Greetings from Finland. Hope you're doing well. Well, I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate the kind words, man. You know, just trying to tell it like it is and trying to be real. That's all we can do, right? Madam, I think it's Madam or 103. Chris, please check out the video 1973. It's apparent footage of astronauts traveling to Mars. Do you think it is legit? I don't know. I've seen that. Again, it's a real low res kind of thing. And if it's the one I think of, it actually lands. And you can see some kind of movement. Is that the one you're talking about, Madam 103? It literally looks like something was moving under the soil after they landed. I don't know. But it literally showed like Mars, and they were like orbiting around it. And I think they actually landed, and they said that they landed. And like I said, they're looking out the window and they seen something that looked like it crawled. Now, I don't know. And some of these things are so good at what they do, even though it looked low res, it still looked really realistic. It looked crazy, right? Just D said basically all is one, and we are the universe looking at itself. Yeah, good possibility. Exactly, Lantano. Thinking we are the only life forms in the cosmos, in my opinion, is a mental illness. Yeah, I mean, how do you not look out there and say, "Oh, oh my God, there's got to be so much more beings out there, even if they're not quite like us," right? Yeah, that's true, SC. You're right. Chris, think about how scary it would be to be alone in the universe. Yeah. Who said that? There was a quote by somebody said that it'd be even scarier to believe that we are alone in the universe. Yeah, absolutely. Farron, for Plow, you put on there the NASA technician tasked to Photoshop a plane missed work that day, and a pic slipped through the cracks. Well, I believe that they have. This is what I think is going on. Think about this a minute. Let's suppose you're one of these guys that are doing that. Now, let's suppose there's only a group of five, okay, and you're taking it out, stuff like that. And it's easy to have something slip by. I think it goes through many eyes. So in other words, they're on a computer program. They blotch it out. They can make something look like a rock. They have rock mimicking software. They can make anything look like a rock. But there's parts they leave out. What look like girders or something sticking out, a mechanical thing sticking out, things laying on the surface. But now I want you to just picture a whole bunch of these people. They laid off 250. How many is in that CGI department? That's just crazy. It doesn't make any sense. So knowing that, these guys are putting this thing through the ringer, and yet they still leave things out. So I don't know. Nomad Tanru. The moon is fantastically complex and has been occupied for millennia. I think it's been a stopping port. I mean, there's not only structures there, but look like, again, crafts that look like they were either just like just crafted or bring supplies and then it's just left there. And then there's some that look like they're just dilapidated, just laying on its side. I mean, it's just crazy stuff you would not think you would see in these photos at all. But yet, yeah, they're there. Noodles Photoshop CS5 is the standard decoder, right? I use CS6, but um, pretty much. Photography, light magic, and he's talking about Farhan. The idiot missed quite a few days. Right about that. Rachel, you said truth is more true to science fiction than we can ever dream of. Oh yeah, I mean, if you stop and you think, like I said, a lot of you guys do a lot of research, which is great. And like I said, people like, well, it's just a bunch of people follow along. No, there's a lot of people out here who've got great brains and they do their own research, and that's what I love about you guys. It's all about researching it. And when you find out, you go, well, I want to do my own research because I'm not sure Chris is telling the whole truth. Or maybe he's off. And I could very well be. Listen, guys, I'm not perfect. But when you stop and you do it yourself and then come to the same conclusion, you're just going, wait a minute. Now I'll put all the pieces together about Mars. Now about when people say we can't get through the Van Allen belts, put all this stuff together, do your own research. And you go, well, that's flat out bull. And then we say, oh, wait, man, these guys could have absolutely been flying everywhere, could have went right through these things, around them, whatever they had to do. Yeah, the list goes on and on. I mean, just that's what I love about everybody here. They do their own research and they got great minds, and that's what it's all about. Christian, you said crossing the Van Allen belt is not a problem. Is not the problem, rather. The real problem is the length of the stay in this area. You have to cross it as soon as possible. Then the radiation exposure is minimal. Well, that's what I was saying. Because basically, even if you were to go through the minute or the thinnest part of these Van Allen belts, it's brief. It's not a real long time. And again, if it's very, very low or the intensity is very low, practically no kind of problems at all. Now I do remember them saying, because I think there was a solar radiation that they said they could see these like dots in their eyes and stuff like that. But don't think for a moment they couldn't get through that stuff. Absolutely, they could. Some will say no, they couldn't because it's da 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 da. Was that information to be put out because they wanted you to discourage you to think that we went to the moon or anywhere else? People go, well, they can't get through the Van Allen belt, so they definitely didn't go to Mars. No, they haven't gone to Mars. At least that's what we don't think right now. But machines sure in hell can, and they're shielded, so they sure in hell can go. Bit power too. Hey, Chris, good to be here. Well, I'm glad you're here as well. Alien Tenno, no chance we are alone. No doubt. Oops. $420 Alien. Thank you, sir, for your support. I appreciate it. He said, keep up the good work, Chris. Oh, keep up the great work, Chris. I appreciate that. Taff, you said the preview windows in Photoshop CC are a complete joke, bro. Yeah, I didn't even use a regular CC. I actually have it. A buddy of mine gave it because I was going to try it out, the CC version. And you guys think it's a waste of time, or is it worth looking into, or what? I've never used it, to be truthful with you. I said, I don't know if it's part of Photoshop and it's just an addition to it, or if it's, and I've never had to use anything else, to be, truthful, Noodles, yeah, Van Halen, but yeah. Bunch of bull crap. Bolt Heyday, you said maybe we were on the wrong frequencies, most of us. I don't know. I think we're all pretty much on the same page. Differences of opinion, which is fine. And that's what it's all about. It's about being human and having your own opinion. Now, don't get me wrong. There's people on there that'll go on my page. It'll be super negative, and they didn't do a shred of work or any kind of research. Oh, it's bull. I automatically get them off. It's not even worth talking to them or trying to, respond to them. Now, some people go, "Hey, Chris, I don't believe that's true," and they talk like true adults, and they're like, I don't think that's the case. I think this may be the case. And I'll even still give them, you'll see the thumbs up and a little heart thing on there, because you know what? They shared their opinion without being a jerk. And that's the whole point. you're entitled to it. Now I'll go ahead and I'll thumb you up every time. Now, the people who are just total jerks, like I said, I just get rid of them. There's no point in it. Oh, I thought you said I could express my opinion. Yes. You know, without being a total jerkwad. I was going to say something else, but I'm trying to keep it PG. So yeah, you know, it's just I don't mind people have different opinions. I could care less. It's when they get really vulgar or just talking stupid on there. I just go, no, I'm good. No time for it. I just at some point I go to type. I go, what am I doing? Just get them off the page. Stupid, because they don't even bother to do any research. So why respond to somebody who's never even done the first shred of research or never looked into anything? What's the point? It's like fighting with a 2-year-old that has, actually 2-year-olds would probably know better, but it's like fighting with them about, what's right and what's wrong. What's the point? Photography Light and Magic. You said everyone should check out Raw Therapy. It's free and it's a free, and what a freebie it is. Not familiar with it. No, Nomad Tanru. You said what you show. It, what you show is the truth, Chris. Some people just do not want to see it. It's too much to wrap their minds around. Well, I mean, to be truthful, sometimes it's hard for me to wrap my mind because I just can't believe what I'm seeing, and it's in the photos. So I understand that to a certain degree that people are going, "Oh, there's no freaking way. How can that possibly be on Mars?" Well, they haven't done enough research to understand that it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's a huge possibility, but it's a possibility. So if they've done more research, then they would probably accept a little bit more. And I mean, when I say accept it, not what I'm saying, but what their research shows them. They'd be willing to say, well, again, this is the reason why I showed a link so people can have a look at it for themselves. I don't want them to just believe my name is God, my word is gospel. I want them to see it themselves. And when they do it and they come to the same conclusion or something similar, the idea doesn't seem so wacky all of a sudden, right? Bit power too. Yeah, you said Mars is such a shitstorm of evidence that it's not in NASA budget to spend the time to cover up everything perfectly. Oh, I mean, I think they just do it a quick, like you're saying, they do a good job. But here's the thing: like you said, I don't think they go over it perfectly. Because think about it. Even if you just show something sticking out, you might say, well, it's some kind of flat rock is sticking out. As long as they don't show you anything of real, at least they think of any real evidence, then you won't question it. But it's too late for that. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's long. That ship has sailed a long time ago. It's absolutely, there's no turning back now. Let's just say, right? It's just the way it is. There's too much, evidence on there that shows there was intelligent life on Mars, and to reverse that now would be crazy, just by seeing what they show us. Now, is it all a master plan to steer us all in a certain direction? Good possibility. Regardless, they still have to answer why the stuff's in the photo. And if it's been made up, tell us why. Why are you doing this? One way or the other, they should answer that question. BitPower 2 says there's literally evidence in every square foot. Pretty much. And, people go, oh, and I've had people tell me this is funny. This is great. It's like, oh, yeah, well, every photo you have, you just happen to show, it just happens to have something in it. Okay. How about this? Forget about what I'm putting on there. How about the fact that do you really think that the rover's just looking at random rocks for no reason? No, it's there for a reason. And they know that this thing, it's already, like I said, it's on its other redundant motherboard. The first one took a dump not long after it landed. And I forget how long the time span was, but it took a dump. It's on its last motherboard. They know that any given time that thing could go shut right down. Why would they waste their time just taking random photos of nothing? Makes no sense. So there's a reason why these things are in the stuff. It's viewing that pod. There's a reason for it. And the reason for it is because it's something of some kind of interest. So they're not going to waste their time with that unless they know. So they take the snapshot, they see the real McCoy, the real deal, and then they turn around and go, okay, all right, CGI department, go ahead and take over this and make it look normal, make it look natural. Okay, we're on it. That's it. That's all there is to it. And that's what it's all about. They're not going to take photos. It's like, it's not like you just walking through the woods, taking pictures of fall leaves going, oh, let's take a couple snaps of this and that. That's randomness. They're not going to do that on Mars. They're not going to do that. They got better things to do than just take goofy pictures of just simple rocks. They're not going to do it. Look what we showed in the last photo. That doesn't look like simple Martian landscape to me. That doesn't look like just simple rocks. They're too organized. Let's put it that way. I don't know. Strange guys, you said, why do people retract their comments? I don't know if it's retracted or if somehow Google's doing that. I'm not sure why that is. Or somehow it's just not making it and it's just showing it retracted. I'm not sure. Enrique Barons, you said in 1949, they opened Mount Palomar, a 200-inch telescope. How come there's nothing on the historical record regarding what 14-inch telescopes can see today on the moon when they see what we see today? Absolutely, and then some. Um, Here's another thing too. I don't know if it was in El Salvador. There was a telescope there, and this goes back in I want to say 1940s. I could be wrong. It could be even earlier than that. And they actually took a photo, very low res, but it showed a photo of Mars. And guess what? It looked a lot like Earth, but there was greens, browns, and there was some blues. And it was back then, and it had a large telescope looking over at Mars. It was low res, like I said, but you can see all the colors of that planet with no problem whatsoever. Now all of a sudden, oh no, it's all red. But yeah, you can go on there and just put Google Hubble telescope photos of Mars, and you can see the procession from January to December. How you can see the north and south poles bigger, and then they get smaller. The colors of the planet change, and it's not all just red. Just have a look at it. They want you to believe it's all red. It's not. Just look at some of the photos. You go, oh, well, okay, that's what's going on here then. Yeah, Taft, they are full of it. NASA's nothing less than organized crime, and they are full of crap. Yeah, that's a fact. And so isn't the British Secret Service, you said. Um, well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, again, the higher ups know the truth, right? And that's what it's all about. They just go, we're not going to tell nobody. That's the end of that. Again, you're on a need to know basis. So they try to hide everything from people. But news gets out, stuff gets out, whether it's from the people who worked there at some point or, um, or it's just like I said, it could be anybody, disgruntled, a regular whistleblower. It doesn't matter. Somehow it gets out, and that's all it takes. And then people take off and they go, "I'm going to research this myself," and stuff starts coming out. Fun guy, I like that. I went to NASA and asked for a job, and they told me there was no space. Good one. Well, that's true, Noodles. You're right. Go easy on NASA. He said the national security issues can't be discarded. That's true. I get that part. But to me, let's go with the simpler stuff. If you're going to do a disclosure thing, how about just simple? Okay, there's microbial life, meaning alive today. How about that? How about simple stuff? Well, wait a minute. There's bushes, there's trees, there's insects. Okay, nobody has to get into all the other stuff, and I know that's going to come. I've already said that. Uh, you know, there's like I said, it's going to come to a point, and I've already said that they're going to actually have disclosure. They already said there's water on it. Up on the South Pole, I believe it is. And like I said, there's a big lake underground. There's water all over the ground, inside the ground itself, meaning in the soil. Water cycles, warm temperatures. They're going to come up with little shrubs, little trees. They're going to come up with insects or at least first microorganisms. Microbial life, even macro, doesn't matter. Like I said, they're gonna let it out. You watch and see. Oh, wait a minute. We only found fossilized microbial life. Oh, wait a minute. Now we just found some real microbial life. Oh, wait a minute. And it's going to come out slowly but surely. It'll come out. Substance Z. How's that feel? Good smack. Whoosh. Have a great day. Daniel Webster. Hello, Chris. How are you doing? Hello, everyone. Microbes. Okay. Exactly. I mean, to me, it's just like, and you're absolutely right, Nils. I totally get it because they have to worry about security, right? Um, but then I understand like NASA trying to be like the watchdog and like we're going to put claim on Mars and all this other crap, but every other space agency is joining in on them. So does that security still is it still relevant? Because if every other country is trying to get up there as well, what are we keeping secret from? who is, you know what I mean? From who? It doesn't make any sense. So in some ways you're right. In some ways I got to question it. You know what I mean? Alien 10, Hubble has mapped the surface of the moon and Mars. Oh, everyone thought it was a deep field telescope. LOL. Well, what I find interesting, as they said, it's got a huge field that it actually looks at, and of course, it's got different filtering and everything else. And said the Hubble cannot take a look at the moon. However, you can look it up. It's on Google. Just Google it. Hubble telescope picture of the moon, and listen, it's like they have extremes, right? It's like a regular camera, only this thing's high tech and huge. But you can almost bet they can see a gnat on a lunar surface with no problem. They can literally look at it, and then they know exactly what's there. And they took a picture of every darn planet in this solar system, and this is how they probably knew to begin with what was on these planets. And then, of course, they sent orbiters, and of course, they did flyby missions, everything else. And this is the reason why they're where they are today, because they know there's something on there that interests them, and that's why they were sent over there to see, right? That's what they went there for, because they know there's something there of some value, and that's why they are there today. And then, of course, they want to set boots on the ground, so on and so forth. So, yeah, we all do custom tailored one. I want the unadulterated truth. Absolutely. Yeah, Brian as well. Noodles. Yep. Um, because like I said, water's okay. Brine too, because basically brine is nothing but highly salted water there. So, yeah. And of course, they say, this is the reason why a lot of that water doesn't freeze, because brine, salt water, takes a lot. Its freezing point is a whole lot lower, right? So this is the reason why you'll see a lot of brine, um, even in the colder temperatures. But I don't believe it's as cold as they claim. And then even if it does get that cold, it definitely warms up big time during the day. Daniel, you said yes. They already said water, methane spikes, organic chemicals, and water cycle that brings back objects that the Mars orbiter has said are green. Yeah, I mean, again, there was a telescope here, and like I said, I forget it was in El Salvador, or wherever it was, but it was basically, I'm almost positive. Yeah, it was definitely in the equatorial region. That when they took it, it looked just like Earth, only not as blue, but still had all the colors of a planet you would see that's alive or has life on it. Noodles, you're off to get dinner. Man, I'm going to be doing the same thing, guys. We have hit just about 3 hour mark. Holy crap. That's what makes this awesome. You guys are awesome, man. That's what it makes this interesting. Everybody's in there doing their own thing, talking about it amongst each other, throwing around ideas, conversation. Everybody's great here. And what can I say? That's pretty much it, right? Let me see here. Well, it's you said stream from Aries Mons or random cloud. They claimed that it was starting to erupt. Noodles. They were saying, like, kind of like Mount St. Helens type thing. It blew out the side of the wall, and that it was starting to erupt. Now, have you heard anything else about that? I haven't. So to me, like I said, I did a video about that, about this cloud coming off the side of the. It's supposed to come out of the side of that actual mountain, but when I brought down the brightness of that cloud, it looked like a square, and it was on the base of it. It wasn't even on that volcanic wall at all. So I don't think it was that either or. To be truthful with you, they claim that you get a lot of the um, fog and stuff like that, and some steam and whatever. Well, not but steam, but like I said, like you get like a weird fog and stuff like that coming around the mountains and stuff like that. I don't believe that's the case. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying in that particular aspect that when I looked at it, like I said, I brought the brightness down to that cloud. There was actually a square. So I don't know if they put that over that or something's there that was emitting that. Oh, so picture something that crashed there. And that like a burning cloud from it, like something exploded there. And it was happened to be right next to that, the base of that volcano. It was not in that wall. And when you look at that video, you could I'm trying to remember what it was called. It might have been volcano erupting or something like that. Something to do with a volcano in the title. You can look that up. And I brought that cloud way down. It's not even on the side of that. It's on the base. Crazy. Billy Sanford, you said, how is the best way to send you pictures of Mars to review? You can either go on my Facebook page, I'm on there, Mars Anomalies, or marsanomalies at AOL.com, and I'll have a look. Just put something in the um, subject, meaning like Mars photo or whatever, This thing jumped up on me. Custom Taylor 1, you said, I live 75 miles from Mount St. Helens. Well, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, how that thing blew to pieces, right? There was so much energy from that, just blew right out the side of it, right? Yep. Volcanic means life in the hot springs. Absolutely. Frank Miklo says, happy Thanksgiving. Have a good week. Well, right back at you, and everybody else do the same, right? If we don't talk to you during the week, which we probably will, we'll have more videos out. Jason, also happy Thanksgiving to you and your family as well. Alien Tenno, yeah, we're going to be doing the same thing. We are getting off this as well. Everybody jumped in there as usual. Great chat. Um, everybody, like I said, everybody on board, I said hello to. I mean, it's great chat as always. You see something. I think I forgot one of these here in the back. Like I said, Alien Tenno, Mags, all you guys in there and ladies. It's good that you guys were in there and jumped in there, commenting as always. Trying to see where the hell this thing went. I know I jumped over a couple of you guys. That's why I was hoping if, I always say this, if I did, then just go ahead and comment again with the same comment. This way I don't forget anybody at all. But anybody like, Rachel, glad to see you guys in there, Libby in there. And like I said, all you guys that are in there all the time, and it just makes a great chat and it just makes a great weekend hangout. You guys are the best. And I've always said that. I've been on other ones. A lot of ones are pretty decent. And then some of them just fighting with each other and all this other stuff. And we don't have that stuff here. You do have the occasional troll jump in there. It's to be expected. Let me see. But you'll get them every now and then. I just wipe them off. It's not even worth it. Not even worth it. Frank, you said the video yesterday was a very good one. I think my wife is now a believer. Well, a lot of people are saying that. Whether it's the wife watching the videos and the husband doesn't believe, or vice versa, when they start looking at it, they go, well, in fact, you're not the first one who said that. Somebody had just said that recently. He said, yeah, I even said this on the chat. They said, oh, yeah, they're a skeptic is big time. But then when they seen this, they were totally like, what is that? They got to question it. And by right, you should question everything you see. Be a skeptic, be open minded as well. Like I said, they don't always go together, but you know what I'm saying. And that's what you should do. Again, research is king, man. That's what it comes down to. Anyway, guys, I'm going to jump on out of here. Again, great chat. You guys are the best. I've always said that. Great support. Support as far as monetary. You guys are the best at that. I don't ever ask for it. I think it's great that you guys do that from the kindness of your heart. I think it's awesome. And like I said, we just have a great chat here. A great bunch of people, great, thinking minds. I love the way you guys and you guys, you have your difference of opinions. What I love because we can share it and I can learn. You guys learn. It's all, like I said, learning curve for everyone. And that's what it's all about, to just bring that to the table, talk about it, especially after the videos we made. We can go over them, cover them. And that's what makes it awesome. You guys are the best, like I said. Anyway, guys, everybody have themselves a great weekend. We're only on Saturday night here. Some of you guys are in Sunday already, but have a good weekend. Have a safe one. And we'll see you in the videos coming up. Hopefully, we're going to have the next one should be a moon one. I was trying to get that one out, but I've been so darn busy at work. Holidays coming. It gets absolutely crazy there. I think people have lost their minds sometimes, but it is what it is, right? So anyway, Rachel, you do the same. You said, take care, Chris. I hope you have an awesome weekend. Thank you so much for the great stream and forever people. And well, again, you guys are fine folks, and that's what I love about you guys. So let's keep it real, and you guys are the best. Everybody, have yourselves a good night. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.